Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see in the picture today, let's start the story of first part of What If Neglected Kid Naruto Received Kaguya's Chakra. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Don't waste any more time. Let's start the story. Kushina Uzumaki observed her daughter using shurikens for practice. Kushina was a stunning woman. She had violet eyes, fair skin, and a feminine yet slender figure. Her daughter Natsumi inherited her thick head of fiery red hair, which was her most worrisome characteristic. Natsumi stared at the target with her dazzling blue eyes. One of the two shurikens she held in each hand had been slipped into throwing position. Natsumi's hands flicked the razor-sharp shuriken as it traveled the short distance to the training dummy. The center was penetrated by one of the points. "Mommy, Daddy," the 6-year-old girl exclaimed, jumping enthusiastically. Did you see what I did?" Kushina grinned and said, "Yes, that was really great." She leaned over and gave her young daughter a forehead kiss. Natsumi grinned. Then she sensed a soft hand resting on her head. Her father, Minato Namikaze, was grinning when she looked up. Her smile widened even wider. Minato ruffled Natsumi's hair and grinned broadly. "I'm proud of you, my little princess," he said. Minato stood tall. He had spiky blonde hair and fair skin. He shares his daughter Natsumi's vivid blue eyes. He assured his daughter that she would soon become a skilled shinobi like her father. Natsumi was beaming and pumped his fist in the air. "Dad, my dream is to become the greatest Hokage. One day, I'm gonna surpass you and all previous Hokage," he said. A broad smile spread across Kushina's face. She pointed a finger at her husband and turned. "See, Minato, she's gonna be like her mommy." After placing a gentle hand on Natsumi's daughter, Kushina knelt beside her. "To be the first female Hokage was my dream, the dream that your father stole away from me." She gave her husband a fierce look. Minato laughed uneasily. "Even after all these years, she still frightens me." Kushina grinned and turned to face her daughter, saying, "But I'm sure you'll achieve that dream for me. Natsume Uzumaki, the 5th Hokage has a nice ring to it, don't you think?" Kushina put her arms around her daughter's petite body and gave her a hug. Minato joined his family members in a three-way hug, grinning at the sight. Both parents held their precocious daughter close while grinning. Large, teary, violent eyes watched the scene play out in front of the innocent, tear-stained eyes. With a few exceptions, Natsumi's twin brother, Naruto Uzumaki, was an exact replica of their father. He turned his head away as tears streamed down his cheeks. His parents would occasionally simply forget about him because they were so focused on his twin sister. All he ever wanted was their parents' recognition, their approval, their acceptance, but he had been hoping that today would be the day that they would finally acknowledge his existence. What makes her so unique? It occurred to the blonde boy. Naruto hated his twin with all his heart. Everything had come to her with a silver platter. In contrast, he had put a lot of effort into obtaining every little item. Natsumi was everyone's favorite, if that was enough. She was dubbed the Hidden Leaf Hero. What made her a hero? Naruto was clueless. She had not done anything heroic as far back as he could recall. He was also known by nicknames. They referred to him as Hero's brother and the son of the 4th Hokage. Naruto detested those titles and clenched his fist. He didn't want to live under the shadow of his parents, who were even more famous than his twin. "Naruto! Naruto!" Minato calling his name interrupted Naruto's thoughts. "Naruto, come here." "Yes," Naruto said, walking over to his family. "Naruto, I want you to fight with your sister," Minato pleaded. Seeing an excellent chance to prove to his parents that he was deserving of their time and affection, Naruto nodded his head. Minato turned to his daughter and said, "Good. Now Natsumi, you're going to fight with him, but do not forget to take it easy on him. It's not a real battle, just a spar, and your brother isn't strong as you." Angrily, Naruto clenched his fist. Since they never trained him, he wanted to yell at his father that they were to blame. "Maybe they'll love me as much as they love Natsumi if I can prove to them that I'm not weak." Kushina's expression was one of shock. She was shocked by her husband's suggestion. His training hasn't begun yet. She dismissed her concern with a swift shake of her head. "What am I thinking? It's a straightforward fight between two kids. There won't be any issues. Naruto took up the fighting stance he had been studying in his books. Natsumi adopted the fighting stance she had learned from her parents. Naruto took the initiative as soon as Minato signaled. Natsumi just stepped out of Naruto's way and slammed him against the ground as he ran toward her to punch her. Naruto kicked his left leg behind him and hurried to his hands and knees. He hit the mark, according to a huff. Noticing that his sister had already recovered from his attack, Naruto leaped to his feet. Naruto either dodged or blocked Natsumi's fast punches as she attacked her brother. She didn't stop. After blocking a few of his sister's blows, Naruto sent 3 backwards and a knee to her stomach, causing her to drop to her knees. He took advantage of this and kicked her as hard as he could, rolling her a few meters away from where she had been. As Naruto looked up at Natsumi's fallen form, a broad smile split his face. I succeeded. At last, I defeated her. It was a first step toward a closer relationship with his parents. Naruto's smile vanished as he turned to face his parents for their approval. Kushina and Minato were behind him, not at him. He froze as his gaze shifted to Natsumi. His sister's evil red chakra was blazing. Naruto could feel Natsumi's power, and it made his body tremble with fear. It was huge and rife with desire for blood. With a savage roar, Natsumi vanished from view. A sudden, sharp pain shot through Naruto's jaw. Natsumi cut him on the chest with her razor. Sharp claws before he could defend himself, leaving a deep wound. With her other hand on his face, she cut again. Naruto sobbed in agony as he experienced burning in the places where his wounds were. He felt exhausted all over. He was hardly strong enough to defend. But the battle was far from ended. It wasn't until it was too late for Minato and Kushina to realize what their daughter was planning. Natsumi was gathering a lot of corrupted red chakra in her palm, and she had already crossed the distance. Her brother flew backwards into a tree after she struck his head with her palm. Naruto was barely able to stay conscious. As he lay on the blood-soaked ground, all he could feel was pain, particularly in his chest. He could hear his parents calling his sister's name because he was conscious. He caught a glimpse of his parents' hazy disappearance along with that of his unconscious sister. Once more, Minato and Kushina had forgotten about him. The pain was exacerbated by his sense of betrayal. Finally, I am not unique. I don't want to die though, not like this. Before darkness engulfed his eyes, Naruto thought, I don't want to die like a nobody. As they stood in the corridor, Minato and Kushina were in the hospital. Their kids were being examined by the medical ninja team. They hadn't anticipated that a straightforward argument between kids would land them in the hospital, so that incident had truly shaken them up. They were drawn to the sound of a click. The head medic Nin appeared as the door opened. He left the room, gently shutting the door behind him. The medic respectfully greeted his leader, Lord Hokage. With concern on his face, Minato inquired, Are they all right? The head medic Nin told them, Your daughter is safe. She has a minor case of chakra exhaustion. She will be back to full health in a few hours. Minato and Kushina experienced a tremendous weight being lifted from their shoulders after hearing those words. The man frowned as he said, Your son on the other hand, which caused both parents to worry about their son. What happened to him? Kushina inquired. Her voice tinged with concern. She had some trembling in her hands. Before turning to face both parents, the head medic's Nin paused and said, I'm not sure if he'll fully recover from it. He has lost a lot of blood, but that isn't a big deal. The 9 Tails chakra is the main issue. It has been corrupted and has seriously damaged his vital organs, particularly both of his eyes. They are irreparably damaged. His body has gone into a comatose state and is further shut down. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do. The only doctor of Lady Tsunade's caliber can do something, so pardon me, he said. You must give her a call. Lady Tsunade is capable of healing your son entirely. He left them standing there by himself, and went to examine his other patients. When 2 of them awoke, they hurried to their son's room, tears in their eyes as they saw Naruto, who had an oxygen mask on his mouth and nose to help him breathe, and his entire chest was covered in bandages, along with his left arm, both eyes, the left side of his face, and a little down his neck. A few wires were attached to his chest to monitor his breathing and heart rate, and the blood-soaked bandages that twisted around his chest and both eyes told them how seriously injured he was. "This is my fault." Kushina was crying in public. "What kind of mother am I? I left my son drowning in his own blood while I took my daughter to the hospital." Minato was not feeling much better than she was, and he clenched his fist, looking down at his feet in shame. "I'm such a bad father. How could I have allowed my son to suffer like this? How did this occur?" A man in a boar mask questioned his companion. Both men, who were from Umbu Black Ops, Special Assassination, and Tactical Squad, were wearing standard uniforms that were appropriate for Konoha Umbu, and his partner had a bird mask on his face. Bird paused, checking to make sure no one was nearby, and said, "It was Natsumi," his voice barely above a whisper. "She lost control over Fox's chakra and attacked her brother under its influence. There's been talk, and I'm not sure if it's true or not, but there's a lot of rumors going around about it," he said. "How about the seal, though?" Boar inquired, his masked face effectively concealing his astonished look. Bird shook his head as though to dispel the absurd notion that "I don't know. I'm not a seal master, maybe." Through the tiny glass window in the door, Bird gazed directly at the blonde-haired boy they were protecting. 2 weeks had gone by, and Hokage's son was still in critical condition. He stated, "He is a strong boy. Let's hope he'll wake up soon." Boar agreed with his partner and nodded, hoping the boy would wake up soon, healthy, and not after a traumatic event. Unnaturally quiet, the night was devoid of voices and sounds, including the typical rustlings, birds, owls, and barking dogs. It seemed as though all night creatures were holding their breath, as if they were waiting for something to happen. Both moonlight and darkness bent and danced around the injured boy, enveloping him in a hazy metallic shimmer as the moon rose higher and shone into the uncurtained window, casting a silvery glow over Naruto's hospital room. Then the light abruptly changed. Over the face of the full moon, a stain, like pooling blood, started to spread, turning the moonlight from white to red, the blood red of pain, the glow growing brighter by the second, pulsing, then fading completely. Darkness followed the light. Dark shadows poured out of walls, burst open in the darkness, and glowed. Crackling energy poured from their crystal form. The darkness bubbled and rose up in a flabby, half-formed shape that reached out with feeble hands, and it filled the room, expanding into every corner to block out the light. Fund you. As it stretched and wrapped itself around Naruto's body like a blanket, the darkness took on a new form, twisting like ropes and seeping into his wounds, flowing through his veins, and stitching them all together. Through a tiny black portal, the same darkness appeared, revealing a featureless, glaring white world devoid of any life signs except for a tiny bubble of energy. The ground, sky, and even the distant horizon all created an almost unbearable snow glare effect. Twisting again, the darkness took on the shape of famine before transforming into a lovely woman with delicate facial features, such as sweeping, long, light, colored hair that touched the ground. Veins appeared close to her temples, and her white, featureless eyes narrowed at the bubble. This chakra. The white area before her tore like a piece of paper, and she entered the portal that brought her close to the bubble. She stepped forward and lifted her right hand, and as soon as her dark nail touched the bubble, it exploded and broke up into nothing but light particles. "What?" Naruto uttered those words. Looking up at the woman with his blood-stained cheeks, Naruto was not frightened by the 2 horns that protruded from the sides of her forehead. Rather, it was her vast chakra that frightened him. In contrast to her vast sea. Like chakra, Natsumi's red chakra was nothing more than pond water. The woman leaned over and cupped Naruto's cheeks. "What's your name?" she asked in a tone that was devoid of emotion. In order to avoid upsetting her, Naruto initially hesitated before responding to her question. My name is Naruto Uzumaki," he said. "What's causing your tears?" the woman inquired. "My parents," Naruto said glumly, concealing his rage and grief. "They are more concerned with my twin sister than with me. I am nothing in their eyes. They don't care if I live or die." He broke down in tears and began to tell her everything about his twin sister, his parents, and their partiality for her. The woman's face remained emotionless even after listening to Naruto's story of sobbing, and she gazed at the boy with her wide eyes before speaking again after a prolonged pause of a minute. "Tell me, what are you going to do now?" "Maybe I'll find peace here," Naruto replied, putting his arms around his legs and burying his face in his knees. "I do not know. I can help you if you want." With a start, Naruto looked up at her and asked, "Why?" he asked. He didn't know why this woman wanted to help him. There was nothing he could give her in return, and top of that he didn't even know her name. "Why do you want to help me?" the woman said. "Because I'm your ancestor," with an expression that remained unaltered. When Naruto learned that she was his ancestor, his eyes widened. "A ancestor? However, how?" "I don't mean to be impolite, but neither my mother nor my father are related to the Hyuga clan," he said, observing that she had Byakugan from the whiteness of her eyes. "Their Dijitsu is in you. Clearly, you are related to them. I'm also Hyuga clan's ancestor, an originator of their bloodline." "What?" "I don't understand. My name is Otsutsuki Kaguya. The Hyuga, Sunju, Uchiha, and Uzumaki clans are descended from me. You may recognize him by his other name, the Sage of the Six Paths," she said, observing a bewildered look on Hagoromo's face. "The Six Paths Sage? The Sage of the Six Paths is your child," with a startled and excited expression on his face. Naruto almost burst out laughing and hurried to his feet. The master of chakra and ninjutsu. The man was the god of all shinobi, and he had read about him. "Boy, he is not a creator of chakra," Kaguya said in a harsh, icy voice, her expression shifting from emotionless to one of rage and hatred. "He and his brother were thieves of my chakra." "She's frightening," so Naruto swallowed and nodded so as not to aggravate her further. "That stupid boy gave. He gave humans my chakra," Kaguya remarked. She was already on the verge of losing her temper, and Naruto was even more frightened when the slit on her forehead opened to reveal her third eye, which had red irides and sclera, with a ripple pattern extending over the eyeball and 9 tomo. "The chakra belongs to me and mine alone," she concluded herself. With some bravery in his voice, Naruto questioned, "But why?" "Because chakra isn't for humans," Kaguya remarked, glancing down at Naruto. "Are you aware of how people use you to engage in combat, to cause destruction?" Naruto said, looking into Kaguya's eyes, his tone too mature for his age to start a war. Positive emotion was evident as Kaguya's dark lips curled into a smile. "Good. You know that we can't allow this to occur in the world. My priceless nursery. However, what can we do? Everything in the world has chakra, and it will endure forever," Naruto declared. "Then, we'll merge all of the chakras into one. We'll reclaim all of the chakra," Kaguya proposed. "Can you assist me with that?" "How?" Naruto became even more perplexed after she said, "Is it even possible to collect all chakra?" "I'll discuss it with you later. First, respond to my query. Will you assist me in bringing about world peace?" He looked at Kaguya with his newfound resolve and he hesitated. But it was the first time someone had paid attention to him, not to his sister, and he didn't want to let her down because she was the first to acknowledge his existence. "I will help you with my all-power," he declared. "Good," said Kaguya, placing her hand on Naruto's head as his body briefly glowed before going out of style. "First, let me tell you a story of the history of otsutsuki plans and chakra," she said. In order to listen to Kaguya, Naruto settled down on the imaginary floor. "Otsutsuki's greatest skill is their ability to use chakra," Kaguya began. No one else was in the room, so they couldn't see the black glow emanating from Naruto Uzumaki's body, which was lying on a hospital bed. The glow subsided after a few seconds. Naruto's uninjured hand slowly reached up and removed the oxygen mask. His nose wrinkled as the strong smell of medicine hit his nose, alerting him to the fact that he was in the hospital, and he disconnected all the wires that connected to his body and sat up with his legs hanging over the side of the bed. He pulled the medical tape slowly, releasing the bandages covering his eyes as the light stabbed them, burning and painful, and he closed them right away before opening them again gradually to allow them to adjust to the light. He grabbed the edge of the bed and got to his feet, hobbling toward the bathroom, nearly falling on his way. Unsure whether he truly wanted to take off the bandages, Naruto stood in front of the mirror, took a deep breath, reached up, and unfastened the end of one of the bandages that wound around his head, then methodically unwrapped the other bandages. After his body was cleared, he discovered scars all over his face and body. And to his amazement, all of the scars started to heal quickly. The skin started to patch itself up. Naruto muttered to himself, "That's new," his skin being perfectly clear and smooth. He sprayed his face with handfuls of water, and was momentarily startled when he saw his image in the mirror. He had lost the violet in his eyes. His left eye was blood red, and his right eye was purple. Both eyes had ripple patterns over their balls, and there was no iris to be seen. The name was already familiar to Naruto. "Rinnegan," he whispered. Naruto glanced at his reflection, but it appeared as though something in another face, not his own, floated deep within the glass behind it. Her reflection was in the corner of the mirror. "You not just have a Rinnegan, you've Sharingan," Kaguya said, adding, "Your left eye doesn't have any Tomo yet, but you'll receive them after gaining some experience." "Mom," gazing at Kaguya's reflection, Naruto uttered those words. She was a better mother than Kushina, and Naruto had begun to call her mother after spending 6 months with Kaguya in an unknown location and learning more about her. "What happened to my old eyes?" he asked. "Your elderly eyes?" "My chakra swapped them out for a new one because they were irreparably damaged." "Thank you, mother." Naruto gazed at his dual dojutsu's reflection, and despite its incompleteness, he could sense the immense power emanating from it. Kaguya said, "Listen carefully, my son. I haven't got much chakra left. I've sent a message to someone close to me. You can rely on him because he is my will. He'll help you with your training and achieve our objective. Will we cross paths again?" Fearing that she would vanish forever, he inquired. She said, "Yes, you will," and her image vanished from the mirror. After inhaling deeply and shutting off his chakra flow, Naruto's eyes opened again a few seconds later, revealing his typical violet orbs. The Hokage Tower was one of the biggest buildings in Konoha, housing the Hokage's quarters and gathering spots for the council, abbey, and other staff, all of whom answered to the Hokage, who was the ultimate boss of the village's ninja. While the fire daimyo may have been the landowner, the Hokage led its army. 6 months had passed since that incident, and Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage, sat in his office signing for the 100th time that day. He and his family had endured a living hell during those months as they waited in vain for Naruto's condition to improve. Minato's gaze fell upon the one photograph he had of his entire family, in which he was holding his wife with both of their hands on one of Natsume's shoulders, Naruto off to the side with a dejected expression on his face, and he turned his head away as the image brought to mind the mistakes he had made with his family, which had primarily affected Naruto more than any other member of the family, and he had been too blind to notice it. The prophecy was the reason Minato recalled why he had pushed his only son to the side, believing his daughter to be the child of prophecy, and choosing Natsume over Naruto in an attempt to keep the world safe. He felt guilty for his actions. Subsequently, an unprecedented event occurred. The picture frame's glass broke vertically, separating Naruto from the rest of the family. This was a concerning sign that deeply alarmed him. "Minato!" An urgent voice called out. As Minato turned his head in the direction of the voice, he saw his sensei Jiraiya, the one person he hadn't seen in a long time. Despite the passing of the years, he could still say that his teacher hadn't changed much in terms of appearance. He was still a tall man with 2 shoulder-length bangs framing both sides of his face, waist-length, spiky white hair that tied back into a ponytail, red lines running down from his eyes, and a horned forehead protector bearing the kanji for oil, signifying his association with Mount Maiboku. "What are you doing here, sensei?" As he watched the man leap through the window, Minato inquired, "Did you find Lady Tsunade?" He had called his sensei to locate Tsunade. And since Jiraiya was a spy master and Tsunade's old teammate, he was the only one who could potentially locate her. Jiraiya gave Minato a negative head shake and said, "I'm really sorry, Minato. So why are you wasting time here, sensei?" Minato said, slamming his hands on the table before getting to his feet. "Naruto." "Minato, this is important," Jiraiya interrupted. "What matters more than locating Tsunade? Naruto, her godson, needs her." "Minato, just listen," Jiraiya said, aware of his student's anxiety and distress. The prophecy has changed. A twinge of pain shot through Minato's chest. What now? What does it say? He inquired, not particularly interested in learning. Well, though not as large as Uchiha or Hyuga, the Uzumaki mansion was still spacious enough to house 4 people and featured a sizable compound that was primarily made up of expansive gardens and training grounds. Kushina was sitting on the couch in the living room, staring at the only photo she had of her whole family together, the exact same photo her husband had in his office. She was still in shock over what they had done, and she couldn't even call herself a mother after what she had done, much less a good one. In favor of the other child, how could I have pushed the first one away? She gave the family photo one last glance, but before she could go, the picture frame's glass broke, and she experienced a mild ache in her chest. Kushina. When Minato flashed into the living room, his voice called her name. Ino Yamanaka, the only other member of her family with blonde hair, sat next to Natsumi, who was enjoying tea with her friends who were chatting cheerfully. On the other side of her was her shy friend Hinata Hyuga, a girl with lovely lavender eyes and indigo hair. When Natsumi thought of her brother, the image of Naruto's bloodied face was ingrained in her memory, and she occasionally experienced nightmares in which the same face called her killer. The last thing she heard before passing out was her friends calling her name repeatedly. She tried to forget and reach for her teacup, but as soon as her finger touched it, it cracked and then shattered completely. She also felt a pain in her stomach. A single red slitted eye opened as a red-orange fox stepped forward in light, revealing a massive figure inside the enormous cage that was inside Natsumi's seal, while menacing shadows swirled in the darkness. A strong chakra that appeared to belong to an unidentified entity was detected by the powerful fox, who said, "This chakra is more powerful than old man's." As he stood up, the monster fox's eyes glowed and he roared powerfully. A red aura resembling flames surrounded his body, and heat poured out of him like a furnace. The aura repeatedly struck the cage bars, trying to break them, but the seal successfully prevented it. Minato stood beside her, his hand on her shoulder, while Kushina sat beside her daughter's bed, watching her sleep. "What is the matter with her?" "The seal seems to be working fine," Kushina said, stroking her daughter's red hair in concern. "I think the fox has tried to break the seal again," Minato said, tapping his chin thoughtfully. They were worried about her. They couldn't stop thinking about the new prophecy after hearing it. What did it mean? How would it affect the future? Just then, a dog masked Umbu, with spiky white hair and standard Umbu armor, entered the room. "Sensei," he uttered those words. "Indeed, Kakashi?" Minato addressed his lone surviving pupil. Kakashi said, "Sensei, your son, he's woken up from a coma." The last month had been the most terrible and agonizing of their lives, but they taught them the value of the family, and how poorly some of their decisions could affect their children. Minato smiled, and Kushina started crying because it was the first good news they had heard in a long time. Minato said, "Thanks, Kakashi, you can leave now." After giving a nod, Kakashi left the room. "Thank Goddess, he is awake," Kushina exclaimed, feeling relieved that her son was conscious. Minato said, "I hope you'll forgive us," after realizing they had a matter to attend to. They were unaware that it was too late to ask for forgiveness. It would take years to grow and blossom, but once it did, the very foundation that held the ninja world together would be broken. Kaguya had planted a seed of revolution in Naruto's mind, and it was already sprouting and just beginning to bloom. In the Hokage Tower, Minato sat behind his desk and attempted to complete his paperwork. Trying was the key. He simply put his pen down again. He rubbed his temples and sat back in his chair, letting out a frustrated sigh. He gazed out of his office window. Minato didn't want to think about the previous 6 years. He was constantly reminded of his failure and everything during those years, but despite his best efforts, he was unable to stop these thoughts from repeatedly flashing through his head. During that time, a lot of things had gone wrong. It was exemplified by the Hyuga affair and the Uchiha clan massacre. Minato thought about it and felt a twinge of guilt. Hyuga Hizashi's failures had cost him dearly, as had all those defenseless members of the Uchiha clan. Minato glanced at the picture he kept on his desk, his family portrait. He picked it up and lightly ran his fingers over the photo of his son. He was continuously reminded by his son that he had not fulfilled his role as a father. Naruto had grown colder and more aloof from everyone, including his twin sister. According to Minato's recollection, Naruto was once a kind and intelligent youngster, something that he and Kushina had overlooked at the time. However, these days, he hardly ever saw a smile on his son's face. His son was no longer the same person he once was. Minato was solely responsible for it. His son had already suffered greatly because of his stupidity. Then came his subsequent child. Natsumi was terrified of using Fox's chakra ever since the Tail's chakra almost killed her brother. She had refrained from using the beast's chakra out of fear for the worst. All of the incidents had also led to another issue that Minato was unable to handle. He claimed that Natsumi was their savior, but the Leaf citizens began to doubt this after the incident's details somehow made their way into the public domain. Although there had not been any overt animosity from the Leaf people toward his daughter, Minato had noticed a minor shift in how they treated her. A soft knock on the door broke Minato's train of thought. "Come in," he said. Minato witnessed Hiruzen Sarutobi, the former Hokage, enter his office. Sarutobi was approximately 68 years old. The third Hokage was a man of average height, light-skinned, and gray-haired. His least favorite people were right behind his predecessor, Kaharu Udatain and Hamura Midokado. They were approximately Hiruzen's age. Hamura had a strong jawline and facial structure, was a bearded man with glasses, and had gray hair. Kaharu's hair was gray. A traditional Japanese hairpin with two pearls hanging from the side held her hair back in a twin bun. Two of them served on the Elder Council of the Leaf. With some deference to the former Hokage and his former teammates, Minato said, "Hiruzen-sama and honorable elders, what can I do for you?" He motioned for them to sit down. They accepted his offer with pleasure. Hiruzen quickly applied fire chakra to light his pipe after taking it out of his sleeve. He put it in his mouth and took a puff, then exhaled a cloud of smoke. "Minato," he said, "we are here to discuss the upcoming graduation exam." Using his thumb to adjust his glasses, Hamura stated, "As you already know, some students in today's graduation exam are special. Most of them are from famous clans." Kaharu went on to say, "There are also the last Uchiha, and your children. Your daughter is a Jinchuriki and your son. He's a young prodigy and a natural genius. He has all the qualities to become a genin, but the reason he isn't a genin yet is you, Minato," Hamura said, glaring at him to express his disapproval of his leader's choice. "Your son would have been a great asset to Konoha military." Minato squinted at Hamura. He stated harshly, he was too young to become a genin at that time, Hamura-san, to support his claim. "Do I remind you what happened to our last young prodigy?" The mention of Uchiha Itachi made Hamura wince. In contrast to what he had told Hamura, Minato had another reason. That day was more than 4 years ago, and he could still recall it. Minato had used his most well-known jutsu to flash into the Uzumaki mansion's living room. "Kushina-chan, are you ready?" Kushina was dressed in an opulent, looking green silk kimono with brown hem stitching. A pair of silk slippers, a few inches high for height, were placed on her fragile feet. "Yes," she said quietly. Minato gazed at his wife's lovely face. It was obvious to him that she was upset about something. "What's wrong?" "It's about Naruto." Oh, he was aware that his wife found talking about his son upsetting. The crystal blue eyes of Kushina said, "He hasn't forgiven us yet, Minato-kun." He put a hand on her shoulder and reassured her, saying, "Don't give up. I know you will forgive us, eventually." "Where is he now?" "I don't know. I haven't seen him since breakfast." A couple's attention was drawn to a noise coming from upstairs. Minato watched his daughter descend the steps. Natsumi was wearing silk slippers and a traditional red kimono. She was prepared to attend the festival. To lighten the mood, Minato asked cheerfully, "You looked beautiful, little princess. Ready to go to the festival?" Natsumi walked over to them and said, "Yes, Dad, I'm ready to take all prizes that I'll get after winning every game." Then she saw that her parents were not present, nor was her brother. As she searched her brother, she said, "Hey, where is Naruto-chan?" The front door opened, and Naruto cautiously entered before Minato could open his mouth to respond to her query. His clothing was tattered and splattered with dirt. Naruto could tell that his son had undergone extensive training because he was the village leader. Minato grinned. Naruto, get ready. We are going to the festival. Naruto's eyebrow went up. With a bored tone, he said, "No thanks," and started to head upstairs to his bedroom. Kushina was incredibly obstinate and would not accept rejection. She chased her son. Minato came right behind her. "Naruto!" exclaimed Kushina. Naruto paused, then turned around to face his supposed parents. He said, "What do you want?" The harshness of her son's voice made Kushina wince. "Why, Naruto, why don't you want to come with us? We're a family." Naruto laughed and said, "A family, you say?" He gave a stern response. "Since when we are family?" before entering his bedroom and shutting the door in their presence. Kushina almost started crying when Naruto said, "Naruto, he hates us." Minato gathered her in his arms and tried his best to comfort her. He let out a sigh. He detested seeing her in this state. "Let's go. We've to go to attend the festival," he replied. "Why?" Kushina asked, turning to face her husband. "Because I'm a Hokage. It is my duty to attend public events." Kushina gave a nod. Despite her dislike, she had to do this for the benefit of her daughter and husband. Their daughter was crying when they came downstairs. Natsumi cried. She sobbed more, pulling her knees to her chest and encircling them with her arms, saying, "It's my fault. He hates us because of me." She had certainly heard it all. Kushina approached her and knelt next to her daughter. She wiped the tears from her face and whispered "Shoo," as she gently rubbed her upper back. "It's not your fault, Natsumi. If it's anyone's fault, it's ours." She nodded to Minato as she glanced up at him. Minato stepped forward and took hold of his daughter's and wife's shoulders. He flashed away with them after using his well-known jutsu. Minato was keeping an eye on all the kids who were having fun and participating in the festival's games. As they strolled together, he also observed Natsumi's sour disposition. He didn't hold her responsible. "Minato, Kushina," a voice that was familiar called. When Minato and Kushina turned around, they saw Hiruzen Sarutobi's familiar face. "I said, Hiruzen-sama, Minato." "Hey, old man," Kushina exclaimed, making Minato perspire at her impolite demeanor. Grinning, Hiruzen approached them. He was no longer bothered by Kushina's actions after all these years. "How are you two?" With a smile, Minato replied, "We are all right, thank you for asking." And Naruto, Hiruzen had searched for the boy, but had been unable to spot the specific blonde hair color. "Where is he?" Minato saw that Kushina's mood had once again soured upon hearing their son's name. To support her, he put his hands on her shoulders. "He's home. He's not interested in the festival," he stated. "Why?" Minato was about to respond when he heard Ino shouting his daughter's name in terror. He spun around in a hurry. In agony, Natsumi was on the ground clutching her stomach. Kushina and Hiruzen trailed behind him as he hurried toward her. Kushina called her daughter's name while cradling her, "Natsumi." Natsumi uttered m.omdiagram.pa. Feeble, she was losing consciousness, and her eyes were blinking quickly. She snarled in a deep voice, "Rarrrrr," and then passed out. Hiruzen was concerned because he sensed that Natsumi was letting a lot of Fox's chakra escape. Kakashi had landed, sensei, in front of his teacher. He was dressed according to his Umbu code. "Our sensors have picked up some unknown chakra signatures." "Where?" inquired Minato. His steel, hard azure eyes demonstrated why he had become a leader. "Near the Uzumaki mansion." "What?" Kushina exclaimed, "Naruto." Upon realizing that Naruto was by himself in the house, Minato commanded Kakashi take care of Natsumi, and then he turned to face the former Hokage and his spouse. "Let's go." Minato vanished with Kushina and Hiruzen after using the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Minato, Hiruzen, and Kushina sensed a lot of dark chakra coming from the Uzumaki house as soon as they flashed yellow outside of it. Kushina yelled, "Naruto is in there. We need to get there quick," out of concern for her son's safety. They hurried inside as soon as possible and headed in the direction of the dark chakra. Minato thought, this chakra feels even more sinister than the nine tails. There was a lot of blood visible when they arrived at the chakra's source. They discovered 4 unidentified shinobi's bodies dangling from a large tree a short distance away. The grassy ground below was dripping blood from the places where the black chains had pierced their bodies. Identifying the mask symbol, Hiruzen exclaimed, "Stone shinobi, what were they doing here?" The 4th was drawn to the large tree. There should be no tree there. He was aware that there were no trees in this area of the training ground. The ability to grow fully grown trees in a day or a few minutes was unique to one bloodline. Only one person in the village had that bloodline now, and that person was away on a crucial mission. The Hokage's eyes widened as he traced the chains back to their origin. With the chains of an unidentified black metal sticking out from his back, Naruto stood by himself in the center of the training grounds. He pulled the chains off the corpses, causing them to vanish. Suddenly, 2 branches with fur-like leaves appeared on the tree. Before the bodies hit the ground, the branches encircled them. Hiruzen exclaimed, "Wood release." He can use wood release as his eyes widened in shock. Kushina questioned her husband, "Those were chakra." Chainsaw, I didn't know Naruto's inherited my special chakra, did you? Minato had remained silent. He had been looking into Naruto's violet, emotionless eyes. Minato would always remember the eyes of his son. There had been no emotion in those eyes. Following that, he had rejected every effort by the council to allow Naruto to enroll early in the shinobi program. Questions concerning Naruto's wood-release bloodline were also raised by that incident. Hiruzen, fortunately, had a theory. The Senju and Uzumaki clans were closely related. Naruto might be able to use the wood release like first Hokage Hashirama Senju as a result. They had made very little information about the stone incident public while keeping Naruto's wood release an S-rank secret. It had helped Naruto become more well-liked by the people of the Leaf. Minato called Hiruzen calmly. Before turning back to his guests, Minato shook his head and said, "Sorry, did you say something?" According to Hiruzen, who was sweating profusely, "You are truly Kakashi's sensei." To get their attention, Kohara pretended to cough before stating, "Well, anyway, let's talk about team's arrangement." Natsumi and her childhood friends were seated in the Shinobi Academy classroom. She had inherited her father's blue eyes, but aside from that, she could have been an exact replica of her mother, with the same skin tone, build, and long, bright red hair that framed her face on both sides. Her ninja attire also resembled her mother's vintage genin attire. A dark skirt, brown sandals, stockings that ended at her thighs, and a short-sleeved tan blouse that resembled a kimono and had a dark embroidered border. It was secured with a black obi. The heiress of the Hyuga clan, Hinata Hyuga, Natsumi's childhood friend, was standing to her right. She had fair skin, dark blue hair, and her clan's traditional white eyes with a hint of lavender. She was dressed in navy blue pants and a cream-colored hooded jacket with a fire symbol on the upper right and left sleeves and fur of the hem and cuffs. She had the famous Byakugan, just like the rest of her clan. In the small group of Natsumi, she was the timid girl. Ino Yamanaka, a member of the Yamanaka clan and another childhood friend, was standing to Natsumi's left. She was wearing somewhat skimpy purple attire and wore tiny silver hoop earrings. She was a tall, fair-skinned girl with blue eyes. Her long blonde hair, which was in a high ponytail with bangs covering the right side of her face, was the most striking feature of her appearance. There was Inuzuka clan member, Kiba Inuzuka with his knee-knot dog, Akamaru, a small white, furred puppy. Kiba shared his clan's traits, including unkempt brown hair, sharp black eyes with pupils that resembled vertical slits, prominent canine teeth, and nails that could grow into claws. On his cheeks, too, were the characteristic red fang markings of the Inuzuka clan. He wore a gray hooded fur-lined coat over what appeared to be a plate of armor, a fishnet undershirt, and dark grayish pants that reached his calves. There was a boy sleeping with his head down next to Kiba. He was the Nara clan's heir, Shikamaru Nara. He had narrow brown eyes and jet black hair that was quite long and tied in a spiky ponytail. He was dressed rather simply, wearing brown trousers, blue sandals, and a green lined mesh t-shirt underneath a gray short-sleeved jacket with green edges that had a circle with a line through it on the back and sleeves. A fat boy eating a bag of chips was sitting next to Shikamaru. He was Choji Akamichi of the Akamichi clan, Shikamaru's closest friend. Like the rest of his clan, he had swirl marks on his cheeks and brown hair that was spiky. In order for his clan to execute their techniques, he had to be extremely husky. He had on a white shirt with the obligatory kanji for food from his clan, black shorts, a long white scarf, a short-sleeved green haori, tiny hoop earrings, and bandages on his legs and forearms. A fair-skinned boy with dark bushy brown hair was right behind them. Shino Abirame was his name. He wore a sea-green jacket with a high upturned collar and dark sunglasses. He belonged to the Abirame clan of the Hidden Leaf, whose members wielded insects as weapons, Sasuke Uchiha. The last devoted Uchiha of the Leaf was a dark-haired boy sitting next to a window, away from all the other students. He was a boy with fair skin, black hair that reached his chin, and onyx eyes. He had bangs and spiky hair in the back. He was dressed in traditional Uchiha garb, which included white arm warmers and a blue, short-sleeved shirt with a high collar, and the Uchiha crest on the back. Sakura Haruno's big green eyes were filled with heart as she looked in Sasuke's direction. She was the girl with the big forehead, fair skin, and bright pink hair. Her ninja attire consisted of tight dark, green shorts and a red keep-out dress with a zipper and white circular patterns. All of them were exceptionally gifted and promising students with a strong chance of becoming shinobi of the Leaf. There were roughly 30 pupils in the entire class. Since they were mostly civilian kids, learning ninja techniques was either something their parents made them do or just something they enjoyed. There were a lot of sounds in the classroom. Every student was ecstatic. It was graduation day, after all. The entire class fell silent as two academy instructors hurried into the raucous classroom. With their backs to the blackboard, they positioned themselves in front of the class. Iruka Amino was the first academy instructor. His height and build were average. He had dark eyes, a scar across the bridge of his nose, and brown hair that he wore in a ponytail. Mizuki Toji was next to the instructor. He had green eyes and white hair that was shoulder length with a hint of blue. Both instructors wore the typical Hidden Leaf shinobi uniform, which included a flak jacket, sandals, and a forehead protector. "Good morning," said Iruka. His dull speech about ninja life began with the words, "As all of you know, today is your graduation exam." Leaning sideways, Ino muttered, "Pissed, Natsumi." "Yes?" Natsumi asked in a low voice as she turned to face her. "Where is Naruto-kun?" Everyone's attention was drawn to the classroom when the door suddenly flew open. A boy came into the classroom wearing a hooded shirt. He wore black pants, a black high-collared shirt, red, black custom armor, matching sandals, and fingerless gloves. He was fairly tall for his age. He made his way to the back of the class where he would sit. Iruka yelled, "Naruto, you are not allowed to wear the hood in the classroom." When Naruto said, "Whatever, sensei," he took off his hood, causing the majority of the girls in the class to flush. Naruto's spiky blonde hair had taken on a silver hue, but his violet eyes remained the same. In the 6 years, his skin tone had also lightened. Kaguya didn't appear to be a clone of his father because of his chakra. He sat down and crossed his arms, looking bored and ignoring everyone else. "Ni-chan Naruto." Natsumi's gaze shifted to her brother. Her eyes were sad and her face fell. Despite all of her training with her parents, she was unable to compete with her brother. He was intelligent, powerful, and a prodigy. Like their father, he was an uncommon genius. She had made every effort to strengthen their bond, but nothing had been able to counteract her brother's aloof behavior. Iruka concluded his speech by saying, "As you are all aware, today is the graduation exam. It will be held in the next room. Come in there when your name is called." In order to identify the possible genin, Iruka began the test. He called the names one by one. Naruto observed Shino wearing a blue cloth headband as she left the testing room. He observed students coming in and going out, wearing or not wearing headbands. However, he believed that the majority of them would fail the next test. A test that used to weed out non-capable genin was something he had heard about. When he heard Irika call his name, he believed they had been disconnected. Naruto Yuza! Irika yelled, but he halted in the middle of saying the name when he sensed Naruto's icy gaze. Nah. Naruto, it's your turn. Naruto got up and made his way to the examination room. Good luck, Naruto-kun. Good luck, Naruto-kun, do your best. He received well wishes from his numerous fangirls. Natsumi told her brother, good luck, Naruto-ni-chan. But he continued to ignore her. Ino questioned, why does he always ignore you? She kept thinking about that one question. Natsumi let out a sigh. As Naruto entered the examination room, she turned back to face him and said, it's a long story and I don't want to talk about it. After a short while, Naruto emerged from the examination room with his new leaf forehead protector slung over his left arm. He sat back in his seat and ignored all the congrats he was receiving from his fangirls. Natsumu Uzumaki, exclaimed Irika. Ino grinned and said, it's your turn, Natsum. Good luck. Thanks, said Natsumi. She approached the examination room and paused in front of the door. She inhaled deeply and then regained her composure. Determined to make her parents proud, she went inside after opening the door. Numerous parents were observed conversing with their children or with one another outside the academy. While some of them expressed joy at their children's accomplishments, others expressed sadness at their failures. Kushina and Minato were also present. They were both watching their kids. Dad, Mom? They heard someone they knew yelling. As they looked in the direction of the voice, they noticed their daughter rushing in their direction and navigating the crowd. I did it, declared Natsumi. She displayed her forehead shield to them. I'm a ninja now. One step closer to being the first female Hokage. Minato ruffled her daughter's hair in an attempt to irritate her. Yes, you did it, she said. His hand was slapped away by Natsumi. She shot her father an irritated glance and said, don't do that. I'm not a kid anymore. No matter how much you grow up, you will always be my little princess. Frustrated, Natsumi crossed her arms over her chest and sighed. Kushina grinned. She hugged her daughter, bending to her height. We are happy for you. Natsumi grinned. She hugged her mother back and wrapped her around her. Kushina slowly got to her feet after releasing her daughter from the embrace. She never took her eyes off the smile. She looked at Naruto. He had his hand in his pocket as he walked calmly out of the academy building. The upper portion of his left arm was tied around his forehead protector. Naruto! She exclaimed. She caught up to him in no time. I am really happy. Naruto interrupted her saying, save your breath in a chilly tone because I don't care. He ignored the tear that had fallen from her eyes and carried on. Minato stood beside his wife and said, Kushina, someday, he'll forgive us. In an effort to console her, he drew her into a one-arm embrace. Naruto stood atop the stone carving of Hashirama Senju's head, gazing down on the hidden leaf village. He was wearing a hooded cloak over his ninja gear, and it was blowing in the wind. He was using his special dojutsu. His left eyes had changed, but his Rinnegan eye had remained largely unchanged. In the first ring, his Rinne, Sharingan had gained 3 tomo, and they were rapidly spinning around the pupil. The hidden village of leaves is a beautiful village. Having very bright and warm weather, it's a great place to live to anyone. It's also one of the most powerful villages in existence, responsible for producing many of the greatest ninja in history like Hashirama Senju, Tobirama Senju, Hiruzen Sarutobi. It's painful for me to admit that Minato Namikaze is also one of them, he stated. He looked up at the moon, which was bright in the night sky, and crossed his arms. But this village also has dark histories. It's also responsible for creating many deadliest missing ninja, don't you think? When he asked, a voice said yes. Madara Uchiha, Orochimaru, Tobi, and Itachi Uchiha were Leaf's ninja before becoming criminals. Naruto turned in the direction of an oddly altered creature. A single yellow eye, short green hair, white skin, and oddly rounded teeth gave the creature a human-like appearance. You're right, White Setsu, but the last one is the victim of one of the Leaf's darkest secret, he replied. Yes. Danzo and his Rutanbu. Naruto said, so anyway, turning to face the Leaf village, do you have any interesting news for me? Yes, Setsu replied with a hint of joy. It's about Academy Instructor Mizuki. Iruka and Mizuki were engaged in combat in the deep forest, but it appeared that Mizuki would win out in the end. Iruka yelled, "Give the scroll back, Mizuki." "I will become invincible with this scroll," Mizuki uttered, merely laughing. Mizuki used a poisoned kunai to cut Iruka's shoulder. Iruka's body was about to be affected by the poison. Abruptly, he started to feel exhausted and lightheaded, and he collapsed. He looked up with blurry vision and saw Mizuki finish him by bringing a kunai down to him. "This is how I'm going to die, then." Iruka waited for the inevitable while closing his eyes. He lived a happy life and did not fear death. He was startled out of his reverie by the clanging sound of the kunai. He witnessed a hooded figure push the traitor away and block the kunai. Thank God, Iruka thought, an umbu, but he was shown to be mistaken. "Naruto!" exclaimed Mizuki. Iruka glanced up at the figure with the hood. He could see a familiar silvery blonde hair protruding from the hood, even with blurry eyes. "Naruto! What are you dining here?" Mizuki yelled. "You, how dare you try to ruin my plan, whatever." Naruto snorted and pocketed his hands. Mizuki gritted his teeth and ran toward him, holding a kunai. Iruka yelled, "Naruto," out of concern for his pupil's security. Naruto just stood there looking at the traitor idly, doing nothing. With his hands still in his pockets, he yawned again. He nearly sidestepped at the last second as the kunai was about to make contact with his chest. Bringing his knee up to the startled Mizuki, he delivered a powerful blow to his stomach. He lifted his leg and brought it down on his back before the man could recover, forcing him to kiss the ground. Naruto asked, "Is this all you can do?" He kicked Mizuki hard, causing him to skid across the ground and crash into a tree, saying, "Weak." Mizuki gave the boy with the blonde hair a fierce look. He attempted to stand but was unable to stay upright. He stumbled to his feet, braced against the tree with one hand. "I will demonstrate my actual strength to you, boy," he exclaimed, as Mizuki pulled a vial out of one of his vest pockets and brought it to his lips. Naruto raised an eyebrow in observation. He shivered from the taste and downed it all in one gulp. As the pain tore at Mizuki's inner throat and scoured down into his belly, the half-empty vial fell from his hand onto the ground. It was unfathomable pain. Mizuki's throat started to burn, and he put his fingers around his neck. He attempted to scream, but it was inaudible. He stumbled as he attempted to stand up. Mizuki screamed in agony as he fell to his knees. His ears grew longer and more pointed. He became taller, and his body was covered in rapidly growing orange fur with black stripes. The length and sharpness of his teeth, particularly his canines, had also increased. Behold! After the transformation was complete, Mizuki stood up, resembling a tiger on 2 feet. The ultimate gift from Orochimaru-sama. Naruto made fun of him, saying, "So what are you, a were-kitten?" The rage in Mizuki had boiled over. "Brat, you will tremble in fear at my strength." Mizuki resurfaced in front of Naruto after disappearing from view. He cut across the stomach with the blonde. Naruto was thrown backwards and collided with a tree due to the force of the attack. Mizuki started to laugh maliciously, but he stopped when he noticed that the cut was leaking black smoke instead of blood. What? Black smoke dissolved Naruto's body. The former academy teacher was the target of the smoke. Mizuki tried to cut the smoke with his claw, but it had no effect. He examined his hand. His fingers were severely burned where he had come into contact with the smoke. More than 15 feet in front of him, Mizuki saw Naruto's upper body emerge from smoke. He produced a pair of kunai from inside his pouch. The boy was thrown the one by him. Only empty air met the kunai. Naruto leaped out of the black smoke that was extending toward Mizuki. He struck the tray air's back with his feet. He staggered forward and cried in agony. When Naruto's feet made contact with the floor, he whirled, folded his arms, and vanished once more as the black smoke. Mizuki cut air as she spun, anticipating the attack. Naruto was present with his feet extended for a kick, but his kunai once more sliced through the smoke. It swarmed over him, burning his lungs and leaving a bad taste on his tongue, and he coughed and vomited. He heard Naruto's voice reverberating throughout the smoke. "This is entertaining, isn't it?" Mizuki clenched his teeth in quiet rage. "Come out of that, boy, and show yourself. Don't hide in the dark, he yelled. Sensei, we are ninjas. We hide the darka and kill from the dark. When Mizuki heard Naruto's icy voice behind him, his eyes grew wide. Screaming was out of the question. There's no time to make room. A sharp, tipped black chain exploded through Mizuki's chest. His heart exploded with pain that spread to every part of his body. Goodbye, Sensei. Naruto sensed that the man's life was coming to an end. His former sensei's body fell to the ground as he jerked back the chakra chain. His gaze shifted to his other sensei. Iruka was still lying on the ground. He approached him and felt for his wrist pulse. He's alive, but unconscious. I need to heal him. Can't have him die on me now. Too many explanations for later, Naruto said, mainly by himself. He sighed and created a single shadow clone who proceeded to make a copy of the ceiling's forbidden scroll. Iruka's chest was touched by the real one's. The contact point emitted a green glow. He was diagnosing the academy instructor's condition by using the chakra's manifestation. It wasn't good, judging by the way he frowned. A pair of umbu leapt to the ground and advanced on Iruka. The academy instructor started to check umbu's breathing, pulse, and pupils after he knelt down next to her. Her purple hair was straight and fell to her waist. Her umbu mask had 3 red stripes, one horizontal on each cheek and one vertical on the forehead, giving it the appearance of a cat. Then she nodded her head and glanced up at her partner. On his face, her partner wore an eagle's mask with red and green markings. He looked at Mizuki, whose body had healed from his passing. He proceeded to kneel next to the body. Something sharp had pierced Mizuki's back between his shoulders and all the way to his chest as he could see. Eagle got up and said, "He is dead." His gaze searched the area for something. "But where is the scroll of sealing?" "It's here," a voice behind him said. Eagle swiftly spun around to face the danger and unsheathed his sword. He sighed loudly in relief as he saw the 4th Hokage's son, shoulders slumping. As he put his sword away, he thought, "This boy almost gave me a heart attack." Eagle was taken aback by the blonde boy's unexpected appearance behind him. Even though he didn't want to acknowledge it, he said, "So what happened here?" "That man was working for Orochimaru," Naruto said, gesturing to Mizuki's body with his thumb as he gave the umbu the forbidden scroll of sealing. "He stole the forbidden scroll of sealing and tried to kill a fellow leaf ninja. In our fight, he drank something from this. He dropped the vial on Eagle and turned himself into some kind of bipedal tiger monster." Eagle examined Naruto, looking for any inaccuracy in his remarks. He examined the vial. There was still a tiny bit of liquid in it. He gave the boy another glance. "Very well," he said, putting it in his pocket to look into it more. "Good job." Kat approached them and asked, "Did you heal Iruka?" Naruto's body started to leak a dark smoke. He said, "Yes, I did," as he turned to face her. "You did a good job healing him." "Thank you. But he still needs medical attention. I am not a healer, so I am very limited in healing technique," Naruto replied. He was slowly melting away in the dark smoke. He puffed out of existence after saying goodbye. Eagle remarked, "That boy reminds me of Itachi Uchiha. He's emotionless, and genius just likes him." Kat gave a nod. "Let's hope he doesn't snap out like Itachi and kill his own family." Being a senior umbu officer, she was aware of the majority of village events. She was aware of the tense relationship that existed between Hokage's son and his family. Even his own family was hated by the boy. She couldn't hold the boy responsible. If her family had caused her to spend 6 months in a coma, she would have taken the same action. Then he disappeared in the black smoke, Kat remarked as she concluded her report on what had transpired the night before the Hokage and his advisors. Minato's pride in his son's behavior went beyond simple paternal pride. He remarked, "Thank you, Kat. You can go now." Kat bowed and nodded, then vanished in a cloud of smoke. Smoke puffed from Hiruzen's pipe. Well, he thought to himself, genjutsu and medical ninjutsu. Kohara looked at the 4th Hokage and remarked, "Your son is definitely stronger than we thought, Minato. It seems he's been hiding his true skills." Level-headed, intelligent and cunning, Hamura remarked, obviously impressed by Naruto's demonstration of skill. "He's a perfect example of a shinobi." "Yes," Minato replied. Now, what about the team arrangement? I think we should put both Naruto and Natsumi together on the same team, Hiruzen stated. Hamura nodded as he glanced at his longtime friend. It's a great idea. This way, if Natsumi ever loses control of the Nine Tails chakra, Naruto will be there to restrain her with his chakra chains. And if it's possible, then with his wood release, he stated. They were right, Minato agreed. Suppressing a tailed beast chakra is difficult, not impossible, he stated. But we have to assign a good instructor who can help Naruto to fully grab his wood release ability. The third Hokage remarked, and there is only one person who can do that. Tenzo, said Koharu. She was among the few who were aware of him. Minato said, I will speak with him. I'm sure he'll be happy to give Naruto his private lesson. Hiruzen exhaled a tiny puff of smoke and withdrew the pipe from his mouth. It's a very nice idea. It will keep his wood release power secret for now, said the man. Minato signaled saying, anyway, let's start forming other teams first. A Chunin entered and placed a pile of papers on the desk. He bowed to his superiors and walked away. The first paper was picked up by Koharu. The first team is Team 10. This team will work under Asuma Sarutobi, Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akamichi will be on this team. The next generation in the Anoa Shikacho trio, commented Hiruzen, endorsing the selection. From his pipe, he emitted a cloud of smoke. Hamura read the next paper after adjusting his glasses. He set that paper aside and picked up the next one saying, Team 9 is still active. Kiba Inuzuka, Hinata Hyuga, and Shino Aburame, they will become Team 8. Kurenai Yohi will lead the team. This team can become a great tracking team with Hyuga clan's Byakugan, Aburame clan's bugs, and Inuzuka clan's dogs as well as their own heightened sense of smell, Minato stated. Kohara placed Team 7's paper side to side and remarked, We've got some issues with Team 7, so keep it for later. She picked up another piece of paper. Now for Team 6. Naruto was sitting on a rock in a deep forest, far from the Leaf Village. He was meditating calmly, with his back straight and his legs crossed. There were many trees and animals in the area around him, and it was teeming with wildlife and the natural world. He created a lot of hand seals, would release, nativity of a world of trees. Around him, plants began to sprout. Not little plants, but enormous, towering, and exquisite trees whose roots soared through the air, suffocating and blending with the forest's older trees. Under their bases, they created caverns and leaves as they branched out. He was lifted off the ground when one of these roots exploded out of the ground beneath him. Naruto muttered to himself, still not good, and proceeded to get another pair of hand seals. Koharu inquired, Does anyone have a problem with arranged teams? Nobody voiced any objections or protests. She picked up the remaining paper, assuming that nobody was having any issues. Now there are just 4 students left. First 2 are your children, Minato. The first 2 papers were taken by her and put on one side of the desk. She put Sasuke Uchiha's paper next to Naruto and Natsumi's and said, Another student is Sasuke Uchiha. She took the last paper in her hand to Sakura's paper, the last in linear, and said, The final one is Sakura Haruno. To learn more about the girl, Hamura inquired, What is in her report? Sakura's paper was picked up by Hiruzen. She is among the top students in the class. Other than Naruto, she is the only student who has gotten full marks in all written tests, he stated. She has also shown in great talent in chakra control, Koharu asserted. Naruto and Natsumi must be on the same team, and only Kakashi can teach Sasuke about the Sharingan. Hamura said, Well, we could always put Sakura on a different team. Minato abruptly said, No. That isn't necessary. I think I have a much better solution, drawing the attention of his advisors. Hiruzen questioned, What's in your mind, Minato? Put all of them on the Team 7, Minato said, startling everyone. Hamura and Koharu were about to speak when he abruptly raised his hand. This team is going to be our assault and front-line combat team. Hiruzen reiterated, an assault and front-line combat team. He didn't understand Minato's point, and neither did his former teammates. Being a Jinchuriki since the day of her birth, as well as a descendant of the Uzumaki clan, Natsumi alone possesses a massive amount of chakra. She can easily take a position of a powerhouse of the Team 7, said Minato. I am aware that Sasuke has not yet activated his Sharingan bloodline, but once he does, he will be able to join the team as a ninjutsu specialist. Sakura may not seem like a good fit for this team, but she has the potential to become a medical nin due to her innate ability to control chakra. We all understand the value of a medical nin to a team. He took a moment to process the news. My son Naruto comes last. In the majority of shinobi arts, he has demonstrated a natural talent. He is as clever as he is crafty. He is qualified to be the team's brain because of those attributes. If you put that way, then it'll be a great team, Hiruzen said, expressing his approval of Minato's proposal. Yes, but Minato, managing a group of 4 recently graduated genin and managing a group of fully trained ninja are 2 different things. All of them will also need to be taught by Kakashi. Can he take it? I apologize, but I don't think this is going to work, Hamura said. Hamura was certain that Kakashi was among the greatest ninja the Leaf had ever produced, but he also found Kakashi to be one of the most lazy individuals he had ever encountered. Maybe, Kakashi can handle this team on his own, but with the assistance of another Jounin, this plan will work, said Minato. You mean another Jounin instructor? Koharu inquired. Hiruzen took the pipe out of his mouth and puffed again, asking, Who are you thinking about? He questioned Minato. Someone who can keep a tight leash on my students' bad habits. As he walked toward his desk, he noticed Shikamaru Nara dozing in his seat. He walked toward his own seat, crossed his arms over his chest, and closed his eyes, deciding to get some more rest. Naruto was walking toward the classroom, his head held low, the hood draped over it, and he took another bite of his apple. It was the day that the recently graduated students would be assigned to genin teams. He calmly strolled into the room and threw away the remnants of his apple in a dustbin in the corner. Naruto was startled out of his slumber by a shrill yelling. And when he opened his eyes, he saw Sasuke kissing a brown-haired boy from the class, and all of the students and Sasuke's fangirls were staring at the scene with wide eyes. Notice, keep along a very long distance between us, Naruto thought. I didn't know Sasuke plays for the other team. Unfortunately for the brown-haired boy, Sasuke's fangirls did not take well to the fact that he had stolen their Sasuke-kun's first kiss from them, and they proceeded to beat the poor boy to a bloody pulp for the next few minutes, which ended only when Irika arrived. The 2 boys leapt away from one another and started spitting out the taste of each other's lips. All right, class, take a place, Irika said, but nobody gave her any attention and they all carried on playing and chatting. Sit down, I said. He roared using his demon big head jutsu, which was not technically a jutsu, but his job was done as all of them immediately took their seats. He cleared his throat and looked to his class. There wasn't any weakness in his voice, nor was he showing any signs of yesterday's injuries to Daya. Sensei Irika. Sakura raised her hand in interpretation. Sakura, yes. Where is Mizuki? Sensei, she asked, getting up from her chair. Well, said Irika, who along with the Hokage had devised a pretext to conceal the death of Mizuki, I can't tell you about it because he is on a long-term top-secret mission. Considering that if I tell you, I will have to murder you. Even though it was a flimsy excuse, it had done its job, and Sakura was so frightened that she nodded her head in fear without asking any more questions and sat down. He began one of his dull speeches about ninja life with the words, Now class. Natsumi knew that her sensei's statement was a huge lie, so she glanced at her twin brother out of the corner of her eye. She had overheard her parents discussing Mizuki-sensei in the hallway the previous evening. The silver-haired academy teacher was not on a long-term top-secret mission. Rather, he was dead, and Naruto was the one who had killed him for treason. I wish you the best of luck in carrying out your responsibilities and not bringing shame to your village. You will now be assigned to teams and trained by your Jounin sensei. Team 1, Irika said. Fans of Naruto and Sasuke were waiting to see which of the many potential candidates would join their squad. Irika grimaced as he heard the small banshee yelling in triumph. Team 7 is Harino Sakura, Sasuke Uchiha, Natsumi Uzumaki and Naruto under Junon Kakashi Hatake and assistants Kushina Uzumaki. An overwhelming sense of dread overcame Irika, who turned to face Naruto's icy gaze, swallowed a lump in his throat, and shakily proceeded to announce the other teams. I can't believe it, thought Naruto, who really wanted to smash his head against the table or something. Why does Minato always do something that makes me feel uncomfortable whenever I try to avoid the Uzumaki family? It was also obvious that Sasuke was unhappy about being paired with Sakura. He didn't mind his other two teammates, but he didn't like that pointless fangirl. Sakura was cheering in her head because she had always wanted to be with her Sasuke-kun. Although it was generally accepted that genin replaced in squads or 4-man cells, which were made up of 3 genin and a jounin sensei, her team was an exception, with 2 jounin sensei and 4 genin. She reasoned that she could get Hokage-sama to break the rules for her because she loves Sasuke-kun so much. The image of another Sakura flashed into her mind. She was exactly like Sakura, but she was dressed in reverse with white lines on her gray body, white eyes, and the kanji of Inner Sakura on her large forehead. Inner Sakura yelled, "When love is eternal, even God bends its rules," while pumping her fist in the air. Natsumi smiled, content that she had been assigned to the same team as her mother and brother, that they would spend most of their time together, and that she might be able to get back in touch with her brother. Girls seemed to be the only ones who were happy with the team. Many students were shocked when Naruto abruptly got up from his chair and began to move toward the exit. "Naruto, where are you heading?" Irika inquired. Not only was Naruto a mystery to himself, but to everyone else as well. No one could truly guess what was going through his head. "It's clear, I'm going," Naruto said, coming to a halt. "How is your team meeting going?" "Kakashi is one of my sensei. His reputation is already known to you." Naruto took a few steps toward the door and said, "And please, tell my teachers I'm outside, one of the academy training ground," before leaving the classroom and shutting the door behind him. "I'd rather use this time for training than sit here and do nothing." Except for Team 7, who sat in the classroom waiting for their own sensei to pick them up, every team was picked up by their sensei within an hour. Sasuke looked at Sakura, then at Natsumi, and then at her brother, thinking, "And I have someone who can possibly challenge me. Let's just hope that this Hitaki and the 4th's wife can teach me useful things. Things that can help me against him. So I'm on the same team with a worthless fangirl and the 4th Hokage's children. At least there won't be a complete waste of space like her." The girl was thinking about her current team while she was with Natsumi. "Okay, I'm with Mom, Naruto Dani, Chan, and Kakashi." "Oni-san, thank you Dad Buddha," she said, looking at Sasuke and then Sakura. "But why did you put the class emo and his fangirl on my team?" "Yeah, I can sit with the Uchiha. But Sakura, I don't like her." "Where are they?" Sakura sobbed because she had grown tired of waiting and wanted to let out some of her frustration at Sasuke's constant disregard for her. Being Jinchuriki, Natsumi's heightened senses were sometimes a pain in the ass to deal with. "Sakura, please keep your voice down," she said, massaging her ears. "Kakashi was my father's student. It's widely assumed that Kakashi Hitaki will be late for his own funeral because he is consistently at least 2 hours late." Sasuke and Sakura both looked down at her as though she had developed a second head. Natsumi's face showed a tick mark. "It's true, but don't worry, my mom can handle him." When Natsumi finished speaking, a twin puff of smoke erupted in the room, attracting their attention. As they cleared the area, 2 jounin emerged in front of them, Kushina Uzumaki, dressed in the standard uniform, which included a black suit, black pants, strap sandals, and a leaf forehead protector on her head. Her long red hair was tied back in a ponytail with bangs on both sides of her face. They turned to look at Kakashi Hitaki, who was standing next to her. His hair was not white, but rather silvery in color, and he wore the standard clothing worn by anyone in the regular forces of the Leaf. Short, metal, plated gloves on his hands, a simple navy blue band, a navy blue mask covering half of his face, and a simple navy blue band. "Hey, we apologize for being late," and Kakashi waved his hand to greet them. "On the path of life, we got lost." His flimsy excuse caused everyone to perspire, and it was clear that he was lying. "Kakashi." As she slapped him on the back of his head, Kushina yelled, "You're the cause of our tardiness." "I apologize, Kushina." "Senpai, she still hits hard," Kakashi said, massaging his head. Kushina grinned as she turned to face her students, saying, "Anyway, Team 7, where is Naruto-kun?" I wonder. As she observed that her son, their fourth student, was absent, she inquired. When her mother asked, Naruto.ni-chan is outside, Natsumi replied. Nodding, Kushina said, let's go get him. Both educators placed their hands on the shoulders of their future pupils before vanishing in smoke clouds. They all showed up at the Ninja Academy training ground. Sakura and Sasuke both experienced mild vertigo, but it subsided. Natsumi, in contrast to her teammates, was fine because she had already adapted to her father's Flying Thunder God Jutsu, which was faster and more powerful than the Body Flicker Jutsu. It's only short term. Soon you'll move on, Kushina said. Sakura and Sasuke both nodded, feeling better already. What on earth is going on here? Natsumi yelled, drawing attention to herself. They swiftly followed her gaze and saw the state of the training ground, which was ripped in many places and covered in cut marks and numerous tiny holes. Kakashi remarked, interesting, as he observed Naruto practicing his kenjutsu katas. The blonde boy's movements were swift and fluid, giving the impression that he was practicing a lethal dance. He is good. Kushina said, I didn't know he is this good in kenjutsu, with a hint of sadness in her voice. As someone who was close to the Hokage's family, Kakashi couldn't help but feel sorry for her. He knew that there was no relationship between Naruto and his sensei's family, so he put Kushina and Natsumi on the same team as Naruto in an attempt to mend them. When he looked back at Naruto, he couldn't help but think that the boy was the epitome of a shinobi. He was dark and lonely, but he was also calculating, intelligent, and secretive qualities that, when combined with the last two, could create a very dangerous combination. Orochimaru and Itachi Uchiha were the best examples of this. What can I do for you? Then, everyone was taken aback by a voice, so they promptly spun around and turned to face the voice, spotting another Naruto perched atop a tree branch. What? Sakura yelled in shock, and when she turned around, she saw that the original Naruto was still using his kenjutsu katas. A duplicate. Sasuke speculated. Sasuke, know it as a form of genjutsu, and a very good one, Kakashi remarked. Correct, Naruto said, leaving from the tree and landing soundlessly on the ground. It's a genjutsu. Other Naruto in the training grounds vanished from view after that. But when did you cast it? Natsumi inquired. She was informed by Naruto that a good shinobi never reveals his secrets. When he turned to face Kakashi, he saw that he had no expression on his face, while Sakura and Natsumi were both staring at him with awe. Kushina was looking at him with pride, and Sasuke was staring at him with a hint of jealousy as he realized how strong he truly was. However, I was really hoping to see Naruto's face. Okay, you four, meet us on the roof in 10 minutes, Kakashi said. Both teachers vanished in puffs of smoke using the body flicker jutsu, and without a word to the others, Naruto transformed into a black cloud of smoke that dissipated into the air, leaving Sakura, Natsumi, and Sasuke alone in the training ground. Natsumi said, "See you guys up there," and sprinted in the direction of the academy. Sasuke scowled at this, but he made the snap decision to ascend to the rooftop and leave the ground, Sakura trailing behind him. Upon reaching the rooftop, Sasuke and Sakura discovered Natsumi seated on a stone bench, gazing at the scene before her with a chuckle, Kushina standing with an orange book in her hand, Kakashi trying to take the book away from her, and Naruto leaning against the wall, reading his own book while ignoring everything else. Kakashi knelt before her and said, "Please, Kushina. Senpai." Adding, "It's the first edition and I signed the copy of Ika Ika Paradise." Kakashi. "If I ever find you reading this garbage in front of my kids or students again, I'll burn you in every book," Kushina declared, letting out a tiny bit of her murderous intent. "You understand?" Kakashi nodded fearfully and swallowed. She threw the book at him and said, "Good." She detested these perverted books written by her husband's teacher. Not wanting to anger Kushina, Kakashi swiftly grabbed the book and tucked it into the pocket of his flak jacket. The last time he had angered her, she had tied him up with a rope that suppressed chakra and left him hanging upside down on the tree. The memory of that moment still sent shivers down his spine, and he still had nightmares about it. Before they sat down next to Natsumi, Sakura and Sasuke thought, "Is he really a jounin?" and started to perspire. After realizing that the drama was over, Naruto closed his book and sat down beside Sasuke, while Kakashi and Kushina sat on the steps across from their students. I believe that we should first get to know one another better. Looking at his future pupils, Kakashi said, let's begin by having you tell us your name, what you like and dislike, as well as your hobbies and future goals. Sakura told Kakashi, how about you go first, sensei, so we know what we have to say. Alright. So my name is Kakashi Hitaki. I don't want to share my preferences with you, my aspirations for the future, or my hobbies. I have a lot of them. Sakura and Sasuke believed that the only information they had learned about him was his name. Natsumi started to perspire. Kakashi Oni-chan is so lazy that he doesn't even bother to tell people about himself. As usual, Kakashi was secretive, and Kushina was aware that he disliked having too many people know about him. Looking closely at the silver-haired jounin, Naruto thought, Kakashi Hitaki, you are a very secretive person, aren't you? Naruto attracted everyone's attention by saying, well then, please allow me to tell them about you. Listen carefully, because I'm not going to repeat myself, he said. Tsukumo Hitaki, a genius known as White Fang, is the father of Kakashi Hitaki. Kakashi winced a little when his father's name was mentioned. He is a genius, a prodigy, and the best of his generation, Naruto went on. He is one of the most skilled ninja in the village and known throughout the ninja community due to his extraordinary talent, skill, and Sharingan prowess. Sasuke thought, Sharingan. This one word caused him to focus entirely on what the blonde was saying. He is also the fourth Hokage's final surviving pupil, Naruto added. He likes to read Ika series. Kakashi turned his head away from her as Kushina glared at him for it. Fighting his sensei is his dream. His least favorite foods are anything fried or sweet, while his favorites are salt, broiled sori and miso soup with eggplant, 197D rank, 190C rank, 414B rank, 298 A rank, and 42S rank are among the 1141 official missions he has completed overall, Naruto concluded. Nobody spoke. There was utter silence. It looks like he did some research on you, Kakashi, Kushina thought, grinning in her head. Okay, said Kakashi, who hadn't anticipated this. There goes my plan making me look mysterious in front of students, he thought, but something bothered him. Where did you find out about all of this? He inquired. The majority of Naruto's remarks weren't completely confidential, but they weren't also widely known. Naruto grinned and said, I like to learn about all the well-known ninjas, and you're well known in ninja world. Copy Ninja Kakashi. The man who has more than 1,000 copies of jutsu. When the three remaining students learned that Kakashi knew 1,000 jutsu, they all gaped at him in disbelief. 1,000 jutsu? Sakura was the first to emerge from the shock, spluttering out. Kakashi sighed and gave her no attention at all. It's a really nice pastime. It will undoubtedly benefit you in the future, he told Naruto. Hey, Natsumi yelled, drawing their attention to herself and gestured toward Kakashi, asking, why didn't you tell me about this? The idea that he was a genius never even occurred to her. She had always considered him to be a lazy man. Well, answered Kakashi, you never asked? Natsumi's face faltered when she heard this. Seeing the look on her daughter's face, Kushina laughed a little and said, anyway, it's my turn now, drawing the attention of all the students. My name is Kushina Uzumaki. When she said, I love my husband and children, Naruto sneered, I like to play pranks on people and eat ramen, especially salt ramen. Perverts, people who make fun of my hair, coffee, and anything bitter are things I dislike. My interests include cooking, playing practical jokes, and conversing with my friends. Regarding my dream, she looked at Naruto and said, I want to see my entire family again. Since they were aware of Kushina's meaning, only Kakashi and Natsumi were able to decipher her hidden meaning. Alright, Natsumi, you are next, Kakashi said. Natsumi Uzumaki is my name. Ramen, friends, family, and learning new jutsu are all things I enjoy. Playing with my friends, trying new justice, and eating ramen are some of my pastimes. I don't like traitors, perverts, or people who hurt my friends or family. When Kushina heard it, a tiny smile came to her face. My dream is to help my mother realize her dream. And I want to be the first female Hokage. She pumped his fist in the air as she yelled out the last line. Kakashi, a miniature Kushina on the team, had a massive drop of sweat on the back of her head. He gestured to Sakura, who was seated next to Natsumi, and said, "You're next, Pinky," which made Sakura frown. "You can call me Sakura Haruno." She looked at Sasuke again, blushing slightly, and said, "My likes area. My hobbies are playing trivia games and my dislikes are Pig and Amy and her ganga. My dreams for the future are Kia." In anticipation of what might transpire between her and Sasuke in the future, she let out a scream. Sasuke stepped back from her a little because he didn't want to be too close to his favorite fangirl. "Can she see I am not interested in her?" he asked himself. Then he shivered when he recalled his dream from the previous night, which turned out to be a nightmare rather than a dream. Naruto simply ignored her and shook his head, thinking that everything about her, including her hobby and dream, was connected to Sasuke. Sakura's affection for Sasuke was well known in the academy, and Natsumi also disregarded her. TCH, a typical Sakura, and her fixation on Sasuke. Knowing what they had to do, Kushina and Kakashi nodded and looked directly at one another, cursing their bad luck. After giving Sasuke a quick glance, Kakashi remarked, "Okay then, you're next, broody over there." Kakashi's moniker only caused Sasuke to frown a little. "My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I don't really like anything, and I detest a lot of things. I will turn what I have into a reality, so it's not a dream. I'm going to kill a certain man and bring my clan back." There are plenty of things this guy can do, Natsumi thought, instead of constantly brooding and thinking darkly. Could someone please tell him to lighten up a bit? It seems that the loss of the Uchiha clan has caused your son to hang up on revenge. Makoto-chan, I was concerned about this. Kushina gazed up at the sky, recalling her deceased friend, Sasuke's mother. "Let's hope we can save him before it's too late." Kakashi sighed, knowing he and Kushina had a lot of work to do. If he continues on this path, it will only cause more grief for him and everyone around him. Itachi is a genius and prodigy, and chasing him without any plan or strength will only result in his death. Naruto sneered, "Idiot. Revenge has made him blind to the power difference between him and his brother." Sakura, who had a dreamy expression on her face, was the only one whose thoughts were distinct from the others. "Sasuke-kun is so cool." Gazing at Naruto, Kakashi uttered, "And now, last but not least, Mr. Rookie of the Year." Then Naruto said, "My name is Naruto." "It's worse than I thought," Kakashi said, raising an eyebrow at his failure to use his last name. Kushina thought, he doesn't even consider himself as a part of the family, and she looked down so that no one could see the hurt expression on her face. "I like and hate many things," Naruto went on. "My pastime, as you are already aware, I dislike repeating myself. My goal is to become the greatest. Well, I have a mini Kushina, a fangirl, an avenger, and a boy with deep family issues," Kakashi said, turning to face Kushina, who was wearing a happy smile to cover her hurt expression and nodding. To everyone's surprise aside from Naruto, Akashina said, "I think it's time to tell you about the test." Natsumi said, "But Natsumi, you're not at home," Kushina said, "so call me sensei or Kushina." "Sensei, I am your sensei here. You get it?" Natsumi quickly corrected her error and said, "Why?" "Yes, Kushina-sensei, but what sort of test? Our test was already completed." Kakashi let out a loud laugh. "Sensei, what's so funny?" Sakura questioned, her face irritated. "Well, if I say this, I'm sure you four are going to be surprised, and I," smiling, Kakashi expressed, "only a small percentage of this year's graduates will become true genin and remain as teams. The rest will be returned to the academy. Put another way, with a 66% dropout rate, this test is going to be extremely challenging," Kushina said. "This indicates that the chances of success are 34%. "That's sufficient for me," Naruto declared with assurance. For a minute, everyone turned to face him and stared at him in silence. "What?" angrily, Naruto inquired. "Nothing," revealed Natsumi. "Anyway, meet us tomorrow at Training Ground 3 at 9 a.m. sharp," said Kushina. Kakashi responded, "Oh, and a word of advice, don't eat breakfast, you'll just throw up." Kushina glared at Kakashi and said, "And don't be late," Which applies to you as well, Kakashi. The terrified Kakashi nodded. Why? Yes, Kushina-senpai. After bidding their pupils farewell, Kushina and Kakashi vanished in 2 puffs of smoke. After getting up from his chair and starting to move, Naruto abruptly stopped and turned to face his teammates, saying, "Take my advice." Don't take Kakashi's advice. Naruto had already left that place before anyone questioned him. What does it signify? Sakura inquired. In response, Sasuke said, I don't know. Natsumi said goodbye and started to leave the 2 of them as well. Sakura turned to Sasuke after Natsumi had left, saying, Sasuke-kun, are you up for going out to dinner? With hope, she asked. No, Sasuke said plainly. Sakura wasn't going to give up easily, so she followed him to persuade him to join her for dinner after he left the roof to go home and train. The following day, Natsumi, Sakura, and Sasuke had spent the last 15 minutes in Training Ground 3 waiting for their sensei and final teammate to arrive for their test when Kushina suddenly materialized in front of them at precisely 9 in the morning amid a flurry of leaves. All right. You're on time. But where are Naruto-kun and Kakashi? Observing their absence, she inquired. He checked his clock with a sigh of relief, and then he saw a puff of smoke next to Kushina and Kakashi. Yo, he said, greeting Kushina and Team 7. Kakashi. Kushina said in a surprised tone. She looked Kakashi and then quickly checked the time. She looked up at Kakashi again and checked for any genjutsu. She found it nothing. You're on time, Kakashi whispered, because I do not wish to die to himself. Kakashi, did you want to say anything? Kushina narrowed her eyes at him and asked in a dangerous way. Nothing, Kushina. Senpai. Good. With a sigh of relief, Kakashi said, anyway, where is Naruto? When he noticed that only Natsumi, Sakura, and Sasuke were there, he inquired. A voice behind Kakashi said, I'm here, and he shifted around in shock. How the hell did he sneak up on me? The silver-haired man's eye widened at the sight of Naruto. Is he really that good, or am I just losing my touch? He looked at the boy with the pale blonde hair. Kushina grabbed everyone's attention by saying, all right, here's the test, Kakashi. Well, whatever. After saying this, Kakashi crossed 3 wooden stump posts and installed a clock on them. Kushina said, your task is to get a bell from Kakashi before noon. Kakashi produced 3 bells from his ninja pouch, and she pointed to wooden posts, saying, those who don't get a bell will be tied to one of the wooden posts, and will eat lunch in front of them. Oh, and you'll be returning to the academy. With a scowl, Sasuke told Kakashi that we should skip breakfast. Sakura held her rumbling stomach was for this. I'm glad I followed Naruto-Chan's advice. Natsumi grinned. She had lunch before coming here for the test. If there are 4 of us, why are there only 3 bells? Sakura uttered those words. Kakashi grinned smugly and said, well, Sakura, this way we can send at least one of you back to the academy, so come at me with the intention of killing. Start. While 1 remained, the other 4 figures, 3 genin and 1 Junin, blurred out of existence. Sweating, Kakashi said, Naruto, the test has begun. Even though I'm standing next to him, I can hardly feel Naruto's presence. He's good, a true prodigy as academy teachers have described him. They can be better, he said, casting a curious glance at the young boy. Sakura is under the foliage, while Sasuke and Natsumi are up in the trees. I know, Naruto said calmly, but I want to say, this is an interesting method to test teamwork. This was the first time anyone had learned the real meaning of the bell test, and it surprised both Kakashi and Kushina, who was hiding behind a tree to watch her and Kakashi's future students. Kushina thought he got your quick analyzing mind, Minato-kun. A tiny smile came to her lips. Thus, he deduced the purpose of my test. Impressive, Kakashi thought, keeping his gaze fixed on the boy. So, Naruto, what will you do? He inquired. With a smile, Naruto remarked, for now, nothing. A genjutsu, he muttered, making a hand seal as he suddenly felt something strange in the air. Kai. He saw Naruto disappear in front of him, indicating that he had been deceiving himself. Under his mask, Kakashi grinned and said, Minato? Sensei, your son is good. Natsumi was perched on the tree, staring at Kakashi. There are only 3 bells, and we need them before noon to pass the test, she thought. But this is pretty much impossible for fresh out of the academy genin like us against an experienced jounin like Kakashi. And why are there only 3 bells? She recalled something and her eyes grew wide. Minato had told 10-year-old Natsumi, in our line of work, teamwork is the most important factor for the success of a mission. Natsumi grinned as she finally pieced together all the clues, closing her eyes and taking a deep breath to help calm her nerves. Well, I know Sakura is under the bushes on my right and Sasuke is on a tree on my left, but where is Naruto.ni-chan? Those bells are used to put us against each other. They want to see if we can work out our differences and work together. Then she heard a scream, and she took quick action, leaving from the tree and running toward the bushes where she thought the voice had come from. When Natsumi arrived, she discovered Sakura unconscious on the ground and hurried over to check on her. A genjutsu, she told herself, and she placed her front finger on Sakura's forehead to inject a tiny amount of chakra into her. Sasuke! Sakura exclaimed as her eyes suddenly opened after a few seconds. Haruno, please stop talking. Whatever you saw earlier, it wasn't real, Natsumi said, covering Sakura's mouth to prevent her from yelling and revealing their location to Kakashi. It was a genjutsu. Please don't raise your voice. When Sakura gave her a positive answer, she took her hand away from her mouth and said, Okay, Haruno, I think I have figured out the meaning behind the test and Aya, before Sakura interrupted. Why ought I to assist you? Silently, Sakura inquired. Buddha leave. Sakura interrupted her once more, saying, I only need Sasuke.kun. She got up and went in search of her, Sasuke.kun. Natsumi became irate, saying Nara. She looked around and thought, Stupid, I'm starting to understand why Mom despises of them so much. Now, where is that emo? Sasuke declared, I'm not like the others. Well, Sasuke.kun, let's see after you get the bell, Kakashi said, grinning at him. The Uchiha pulled another kunai and threw it at Kakashi, who jumped to the side to avoid them. Sasuke spun his kunai around his index finger, then gripped it tightly in his hand before running forward. Kakashi ducked his attempt and knocked the kunai out of his grasp, then threw some punches toward Kakashi, forcing the jounin to look away from his book. The silver-haired jounin remarked languidly, There's no use in just using normal attacks. Several shurikens flew in Kakashi's direction as the kunai he had thrown cut a rope, setting off a trap. Sasuke grinned. A trap? As he slid across the ground, causing shuriken to collide with a nearby tree, Kakashi exclaimed, leaped to his feet, and stood up. After kicking Kakashi from behind with both hands shielding his chest, the ex-Ambu twisted his body downward and his finger lightly touched the bell, causing it to ring. Kakashi's eyes widened, and he pushed the Uchiha away from him with force before leaping back. I gave you that. You are not like the other, and Sasuke grinned. The arrogant boy took a deep breath and made hand seals, finishing with a sign of a horse and tiger. Grand Fireball Jutsu. Fire release. What? A genin shouldn't have enough chakra to do this, thought Kakashi, his lone eye winding. When he exhaled, Sasuke put his right hand to his mouth and blew out a huge amount of fire, which spread quickly toward Kakashi and left him with no time to escape. He smirked and then swiped his thumb across his nose. When the fire subsided and he could see no burning Kakashi, he gasped and looked around wildly. Where did he go? Behind me? No, above. He's where? Frustrated that he had lost Kakashi, he said to himself. From beneath the earth, Kakashi's voice said, I'm where you least expect me to be. Sasuke felt someone grab his ankles at that moment. Wah! As the boy gazed at Kakashi's hands, his eyes grew wide with shock and incredulity. Earth style. Jutsu as an underground hunter. Sasuke was buried deep underground in a matter of seconds, with only his head visible. Kakashi rose from the ground and knelt down to gaze at the boy. Good try, Kakashi said as he got up and turned to leave. Although you have extraordinary talent, it is insufficient. Kakashi left the Uchiha after opening the book in the center. I was wondering when you would come out, Kakashi said, pausing to glance up at Natsumi from the book. Sorry, I just had to get you alone, Natsumi said as she assumed her taijutsu position. Kakashi's tone was slack. Well, then come at me with the intent to kill, he said. A humiliated Sasuke Uchiha was struggling to rise from the ground after Kakashi kicked him in the ass. From behind one of the nearby trees, Natsumi emerged and said, "Hey, Sasuke. How are you down there? If you want, I can help you," she said. And the final Uchiha glared at her, as he struggled to escape the ground even more forcefully than before. "Get out of here, fool!" With a haughty tone, Sasuke retorted, "Uchiha elite like me don't need your help." Natsumi's forehead developed a tick mark. "Then go to hell," she yelled before vanishing in a cloud of smoke. Since Kushina was able to see everything from her hiding place behind a tree, Natsumi-chan has also discovered the true significance of the test. What a haughty bastard. When a clone's memory suddenly flooded into her head, Natsumi muttered, "I guess I have to wing it." She tried to kick Kakashi as she ran toward him, but he was too quick. She turned and tried to punch him, but the Jounin blocked it. Natsumi saw a small opening, but before she could take advantage of it, Kakashi blocked the strike by catching Natsumi's elbow with his left hand. For a few minutes, Kakashi was dodging and blocking Natsumi's blows, and Natsumi pushed herself away from Kakashi in a remarkable display of agility and flexibility. "Let's get it done." "Shadow Clone Jutsu," she exclaimed, sealing with a single hand. In a cloud of smoke, 4 of the girl's clones materialized, encircling Kakashi and charging at him. Shadow Clones wasn't prepared for that from a genin, but Kakashi easily evaded their attacks. In his search for the real Natsumi, he went and began dispelling all of her clones. Once all of the clones had puffed out, he discovered the real one. "Are you finished yet?" he inquired. A dozen shuriken were flying toward Kakashi when his danger sense went off, and he managed to dodge all of the deadly weapons before looking up to confront his assailant. Naruto said, "Hello, Kakashi-sensei," while perched atop a bush. The 4th student leapt back and started avoiding all of the chains as soon as Naruto jumped off the tree and landed in a crouch on the ground. Kakashi then cursed as a wave of black chakra chains burst from the ground. Thus, the rumors are accurate. As Kakashi attempted to avoid the black chains, he reasoned that he had inherited Kushina's unique chakra. Even though Natsumi knew her mother could use chakra chains like her brother, she had never seen her use them before, so she watched the scene in front of her in utter amazement. "Wow! That's so cool. I wish I could do that. I guess it's time to take it up a notch then." Naruto smirked and retreated all of the chains except one back into his body, saying, "This is taking us nowhere." The chain was fully engulfed in white flames, indicating that the amount of chakra in it had been amplified. Kushina's eyes widened from her hiding place as she saw her son's mastery of his chains, thinking that he could even incorporate his element affinity into them. When Kakashi noticed Naruto pointing his flaming chain at him, he swore. The tree behind Kakashi exploded into splinters as if it had been struck by a giant flaming rock, and he continued to dodge the flaming chain as Naruto continued to whip it at him. Kakashi barely avoided that deadly attack, but it stuck in the tree behind him. Naruto remarked, "I get tired of these games." And then, more quickly than before, he whipped his chain at Kakashi, who exploded into a puff of smoke. A shadow clone, a kunai, was pressed against his neck. "Well, Naruto, I have to admit it is impressive, but it's still no good if you're not fast enough to land a hit on me," Kakashi replied. "I admit you're good, sensei," Naruto responded, "but I'm still better." Boom! Naruto suddenly exploded in a huge explosion. Luckily, Kakashi managed to avoid the explosion. Oh no, he is familiar with clone-grade explosion. When Kakashi emerged from the smoke, 2 Naruto were waiting for him and launched a barrage of punches and kicks at him. The Jounin kept dodging attacks, but as soon as he felt something touch his belt, he was startled to see another Naruto with 3 bells in his hand. Naruto's clone grinned, but he was unable to hold the bells for very long because another Kakashi appeared behind him, punched him in the gut, and caught the bells before they could hit the ground. All of Naruto retreated from both Kakashi, returned to their taijutsu stance, and expressed their willingness to engage in combat once more. However, the bell test came to an end when the alarm clock rang. "The time is up, Naruto," Kakashi stated. "You failed to get a bell from me." The real Naruto declared no comments as all of his clones burst into smoke clouds. Kakashi said, "Come with me," and he took out another orange book after dispelling his clone. They walked in silence until they reached the three stumps that were arranged side by side. Sasuke, Natsumi, Sakura, and Kushina were already there. And Naruto stood next to Sasuke's post, while Kakashi stood beside Kushina. Kakashi had already put his book back in his pocket because he knew that if she saw him carrying it, she would skin him alive. After closely examining each genin, Kushina stated, "I watched all of you and I believe that there are no reasons for any of you to go back to the academy." Sakura cheered and smiled. Thinking she had done a great job, Natsumi narrowed her eyes at her mother, not believing her. Naruto showed no visible reaction, and Sasuke grinned. In a chilly tone, Kushina continued, "Instead of we think you should stop being a ninja." Kakashi gave a nod of agreement. Sakura's bright smile turned to incredulity. Sasuke's smirk turned to rage, and the twins showed no response. "Are you aware of the actual significance of the test?" Kakashi inquired. What does it mean?" Sakura inquired. "I thought we just needed to get a bell." "The teamwork," stated Natsumi. Both Sakura and Sasuke gazed at her. "She is correct," Kushina remarked. "Teamwork is even more crucial for a ninja than individual skill." She turned to Sasuke and said, "And you, Sasuke, you slapped away Natsumi's offer of help and dismissed her advice without listening." "Sakura," she said, pointing to the girl with the pink hair, "instead of accepting Natsumi's help, you were only thinking about Sasuke, who was far away from you." She turned to face Kakashi, who nodded his head because he was aware of the tense relationship between her and Naruto, and felt obligated to point out his shortcomings to him. "Naruto, you understood the purpose of my test from the start," Kakashi said, turning to face him. "But you just decided to observe them rather than help them." "Why?" Naruto mentioned, "Because unlike someone, I didn't want to waste my time while glancing at Natsumi." "Naruto, you are a shinobi of the leaf, and here, we value teamwork and friendship," Kakashi said, squinting his single eye at the blonde. "Kakashi, I don't think they exist to me. They have no meaning. It weakens you and causes you to make foolish choices, but I won't be weak." Kakashi, who is colder than Sasuke, glanced at his sensei's son, whose surprised expression was well concealed by the mask. "However, I already know the benefits of a team and teamwork," Naruto concluded. "However, it's encouraging to know that, in contrast to Sasuke, he is open to teamwork." Kakashi exhaled with relief. Drawing something from his pocket, Naruto threw it at Kakashi. "And Kakashi-sensei," he called, drawing Kakashi's attention once more, "I think those are yours." It was 3 bells, which surprised Kakashi, who quickly reached his belt and saw his bells vanish in a cloud of smoke. "But how?" he questioned Naruto. "Our teamwork." Natsumi was the one who responded to his query. "Just a few minutes prior to, he can't do it alone. I'll have to help him." Natsumi watched the scene in front of her in utter amazement. She had never seen anything like that. She knew her mother could use chakra chains, but she had never seen her use them. "Wow! That's so cool. I wish I could do that." A recognizable voice interrupted her before she could act, saying, "Don't do anything stupid, Naruto," Natsumi said as she turned around and saw another Naruto. "Are you interested in passing the test?" Naruto interrupted her to ask. "Yes," Naruto had said, "then follow my lead," Natsumi said with a radiant smile. "Then I waited for the right moment and swapped bells with my clones. They will never allow me to live in peace if the other Jounin learn of this." Kakashi shuddered at the thought. "How is this possible, though? You were there, standing in front of me, all alone," Kushina said to her daughter, "and I was watching you the entire time." "What you saw was nothing more than an illusion, a genjutsu that I placed upon you," replied Naruto. "Well, that was a really good plan, but what are you going to do with that extra bell?" Kakashi looked at the twins and asked. Natsumi grabbed 2 bells from Kakashi's hand and tossed them to Sakura and Sasuke, saying, "I'm giving them 2 bells, gesturing to Kakashi her final bell, and I'm sharing this last bell with Naruto.ni-chan. Kakashi shot her a sardonic glance. "What? We could share a bell, but you didn't say that." Kushina grinned and remarked, "She has a point, Kakashi. You forgot to say that." After a dramatic pause, Kakashi looked at all of his students inside, saying, "Well, then I guess I have just one thing left to say that you all pass." Sakura cheered joyfully when she heard it, but it ended abruptly when Kushina said, "I don't know why you are so happy, Sakura," in a serious tone. Sakura looked down in embarrassment as she realized it was true. "You did nothing during the entire exam. This is not a game, Sakura. In the ninja world, death is a common occurrence. You get it?" Sakura gave a nod. "Good, now you all are officially Team 7. Kakashi made the announcement. Naruto muttered to himself, "It seems I didn't need to use backup plan," but Sasuke was standing nearby and could clearly hear him. "Plan for backup? Did you have a backup plan?" Sasuke asked. Slowly, the remaining 4 heads turned toward Naruto. Naruto held up a piece of paper with a seal neatly written on it and said, "Well, yes, this was my backup plan." Being an Uzumaki and a master of Fuinjutsu, Kushina remarked, "Interesting," as she started to study the seal. "It is a basic trigger seal uses to detonate one or many explosive tags." As a thought crossed Sakura's mind, her face went pale. "Please don't say you have planted explosive tags all over the training ground?" she asked, searching for them while keeping a close eye on her footing to avoid inadvertently activating any tags. Everyone was surprised when she said that explosive tags were a dangerous ninja tool. "Don't be concerned." When Naruto said, "I've planted them into Kakashi's home, especially all over his favorite books," everyone sighed in relief. "I haven't planted any explosive tags here." "What have you done?" Kakashi exclaimed as his statement finally dawned on him. "When you were busy testing other people, what did you think I was doing? I visited your house and placed explosive tags all over, particularly on your books." "Everyone knows they're your weakness," Naruto remarked, adding, "I would have used those tags to make you pass us if my initial plan hadn't failed." As everyone took in what Naruto had revealed, there was complete silence. Kakashi swiftly created the hand seals required for the body flicker jutsu and vanished in a cloud of smoke. "What in the world happened to him? He didn't even say goodbye," Natsum was asked. "He's gone to his home to save his precocious books," Kushina said disapprovingly, shaking her head. Sakura turned to face Naruto and questioned, "Did you really need a backup plan?" "Sakura, not everything always goes the way we planned," Naruto replied. "That's why having a backup plan set before anything goes wrong is one of the most important tasks." "Okay, Team 7, pay attention," Kushina said out loud to get her students' attention. "Meet me here tomorrow at the same time and location. Everyone has been fired, with the exception of Naruto and Natsumi," Sasuke said, turning around and slowly leaving with his devoted fangirl at his heels. "Sakura will never change," Natsumi thought as she watched her follow Sasuke as usual. "What are you looking for?" After ensuring that Sakura and Sasuke had left, Naruto asked icily. "Naruto.kun Aya," Kushina said. Naruto interrupted her, saying, "As a leaf shinobi, I assisted her. If you wish to talk about earlier, then don't bother. Nothing personal happened." "Naruto.kun, listen to me," Kushina replied. "I want to talk about your chakra chains." "How about them? I don't need your assistance. You've already seen it. I use them far more skillfully than you do." Kushina acknowledged, "I see that. However, how did you incorporate your element affinity into them?" "I gave my water affinity a try, but it didn't work out." As he stood there perplexed, Naruto wondered if she had just asked for my advice. He shook his head to clear his mind, half expecting her to ask him about his chains, but never expecting anything like that. As he turned around and took a few steps forward, tendrils of black smoke started to dance beneath his feet, gathering and disintegrating unnaturally with each step. "Well, your answer is always front of you," Naruto said. "Your chakra control. To use your element affinity to create chains, you must have excellent chakra control. A low chakra will weaken your chains, while an excessive amount will break them. The only option is to balance. It's really hard to manage. My element affinity can only be added to one chain." There was no sign of Naruto after the black smoke twisted around him and began to slowly dissipate into thin air. "Mom," Natsumi said, her eyes literally gleaming. Kushina said, "Yes, Natsumi." "Chan," while looking directly at her daughter, "when can I expect to learn body flicker jutsu from you?" "I'd like to do that." She gestured toward an area where her brother had once lived. Kushina perspired. It seems like today's youth are more concerned with showy jutsu than with doing the task at hand. The Uzumaki family was celebrating their children's success together the next evening, though it was a small celebration because both Minato and Kushina had brought some presents for their kids. "Congratulations on being a genin, Natsumi," Minato said, passing a small box wrapped in green cloth from his hand. Natsumi's eyes widened as she opened the box and unwrapped the gift, revealing a three-pointed kunai. "You're going to teach me the Flying Thunder God Jutsu," she exclaimed excitedly. Not wanting to break her bubble, Minato nervously scratched the back of his head and said, "Sorry, princess, I can't teach you that jutsu yet. It is just a little extra insurance," he said, pointing to the three-pointed kunai she was holding. "You do have chakra to use it many times, but don't have enough control to use it correctly. To be used only in an emergency." With a nod, Natsumi slipped her father's kunai into the weapon pouch and stepped forward to embrace Minato, whispering the last line under her breath. "Thanks even though it's lame," she said. With a hopeful expression, she pulled her father away from the embrace and said, "Hey, Dad, can you teach me the body flicker jutsu?" she inquired. "Maybe," said Minato. He wondered, what's wrong with kids these days? They like flashy jutsu better than the basics. "This one is from me," Kushina said as he handed her the long, red cloth wrapped gift. "Could you please confirm that it isn't a demon wind shuriken?" After assessing its length and size, Natsumi inquired. Kushina responded, "No, my gift is not as drab as Minato's." Minato screamed in his head, his eye twitching in frustration. "My gift is not lame, it's for her safety." As Natsumi opened Kushina's gift, she discovered the most exquisite ninjutsu inside a long black box. It had a black sheath and a blood-red hilt with a carved image of a mythological bird, Phoenix, with the Uzumaki clan's swirl between its two wings. Natsumi took the ninjutsu out of its sheath and inspected its beauty, tracing with her fingers the kanji of wolf fire engraved on the blade. "Are you pleased with it?" Kushina smiled and asked. Natsumi was enthralled with the sword's beauty. "Yeah," she said, taking a few practice swings to get a sense of the weapon and discovering that ninjutsu was the ideal fit for her hand. "I love it. I knew you would love it. Thank Mom." Natsumi put her sword away, stepped forward, and gave her mother a joyful hug. "I believe that you are fully ready to learn kenjutsu," Kushina said, releasing Natsumi from the embrace after putting her arms around her daughter and giving her a hug in return. "Thank you," said Natsumi. "But what about Naruto-ni-chan? In any case, where is he?" "Don't worry, Natsumi. We also have gifts for him," Minato said with a smile. In response, Natsumi said, "I believe he is in his room." They turned to see Naruto when they heard faint footsteps. "Naruto, I have you." Minato grinned at his son, but he interrupted himself when he noticed that he was carrying a backpack. "Where are you going?" Naruto declared, "I'm leaving your home forever," and walked over to the front door. "What?" Kushina yelled, a tear slowly trickling down her cheek from the corner of her eye. "Naruto, this is your home," Minato urged his son to believe. In front of the door, Naruto paused and turned to face Minato. "It's your home, Hokage." "Sama, not mine," he said. Minato commanded, "Naruto, I forbid you from getting out of this house, Hokage." "Sama, you can't stop me from going. You can no longer treat me like a child." In response, Naruto said, "A genin is regarded as an adult by village law once they have on a headband that identifies them as ninjas. At this point, there is nothing you can do." Naruto then left his distraught family and left the house. Now that he was finally free of the watchful eyes of his family, a former family who had been a major obstacle in his path, Naruto stepped out of the Uzumaki house compound and took a deep breath, relishing the air of freedom. It was time to begin creating his grand scheme. After gathering some chakra in his feet, the blond boy leapt to the next rooftop, landed in a crouch, and began jumping from roof to roof in the direction of his new apartment. He slowed down when he got close to his new location, then made a big leap and quickly landed on the balcony. Naruto started to move forward, but something stopped him, and his gaze strayed to a tiny, dark, empty area between the two buildings. He shook his head, then looked back at the door and took a key out of his pocket to open it. As he pushed the door open and entered, the boy thought, "Minato has sent his pets to keep an eye on me." After shutting the door, turning a doorknob, and channeling his chakra, a seal array appeared over the door, protecting the entire apartment from prying eyes. Naruto looked around, finding that he had everything he would need in the tiny apartment, which included a bed, a bathroom, and a small kitchen. One of the White Setsu's clones said, "So this is your new home coming out from the wooden floor of the apartment, but it's pretty small, isn't it?" Naruto said, "It's not like I'm going to spend my whole life here," removing his backpack from his back and setting it on the ground. He then pulled his black cloak over his head and said, "Get ready, we're leaving." With his heterochromia eyes, Naruto gazed at a spot where his sofa was located. A time-space portal opened, creating a tiny crack in the room that grew larger and larger over a few seconds until it was large enough to let 2 people in. With the White Setsu's clone right behind him, Naruto entered the portal. When Naruto and Zetsu's clone emerged from the second portal, they had teleported to a familiar location precisely 30 minutes after they had entered the first. "The Valley of the End," declared Naruto. It was the site of the final battle between the legendary Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju, who had torn the earth itself apart to create the valley. Hashirama emerged victorious, Madara slipped away and went into hiding, and the 9-tailed fox was sealed inside Hashirama's wife, Mido Uzumaki. The statues of the 2 great shinobi had been erected to commemorate that battle, with Madara standing in opposition to represent his defection from the Leaf Village and Hashirama on the side of the Land of Fire, both standing in the traditional shinobi sparring seal of confrontation right before a formal duel, and Naruto standing atop Madara's statue's head, observing Hashirama's status. The waterfall that flowed between the 2 statues marked the boundary between the Land of Fire and the land known as the Land of Sound. After running straight down on Madara's statue and landing on the water's surface, Naruto made some hand seals and then slammed his hands on the water surface, creating a blood-red seal. The waterfall's water split in 2, exposing a hidden passageway that was completely dark. One of Madara's secret hideout, the White Setsu claimed as he came out beside him. Naruto said, "Yes, but now it's our secret base," as he entered. Setsu laughed and trailed behind the blonde. They walked on through the dark passage, and when they reached the end, they discovered the spacious room where a number of seals had come on and illuminated the vast space. Numerous weapons, several 100 scrolls, and books were all over Naruto, arranged both horizontally and vertically in wooden cases and shelves. Going ahead, Naruto took a book off a shelf and read the title, Uzumaki Clan's Secret Fuinjutsu. "Interesting," he said to himself as he replaced the book. "So you have finally come, hooray." Naruto turned around in a hurry and saw the person he had anticipated. TBC, Umike, wearing the Leaf Umbu standard uniform with a ninjutsu strapped to his back. Sasuke was the deepest part of the forest to search Itachi. He was no longer exactly a child, but he had grown into a tall, handsome man with a duck-butt hairstyle. He was walking in a forest close to the Land of Fire's border when he saw a black cloaked figure standing close to a tree. Sasuke's Sharingan eyes narrowed. "Today, I'm going to destroy you, Itachi," he said, jumping from tree to tree in search of his brother. "Found you, Itachi?" He accelerated and landed in front of his brother, Itachi. Itachi's hair was pulled back with a red elastic and a low ponytail that extended his shoulder blades, and his eyes were cold and emotionless. Staring directly at him, Itachi turned around and looked at Sasuke with his emotionless Sharingan eyes, while Sasuke looked at his brother and clenched his fist. They both looked similar in appearance, with jet black hair and skin tone, as well as onyx eyes. Itachi said without emotion, "Hello, my foolish little brother," as his Sharingan began to spin incredibly quickly. With his Sharingan spinning quickly as well, Sasuke glared at Itachi and said, "I'm not little anymore." "I've heard you got married and became a father, foolish brother," Itachi replied. Sasuke said, "It's none of your business, Itachi," and he glared at his brother while gritting his teeth. The council had compelled him to wed his teammate Sakura 10 years prior, and a year later Sakura became pregnant and gave birth to his twin sons. Sasuke shook his head, keeping his gaze fixed on his brother and thinking, "It's not time to think about it." As he assumed the fighting stance, he declared, "Today I'm going to finish you." "Less talking, more fighting, Itachi." "Very well, foolish little brother." But before they could move, 2 blurs appeared between them. Itachi arched an eyebrow at the sight of the two strange-looking twin boys, both 9 years old. A boy turned to face Sasuke and said, "Dad, we've come to help you." In agreement, his twin brother nodded his head. "Dad?" Itachi uttered those words. Itachi gazed at the two boys, both with pink hair, both with Sharingans spinning in their eyes. "Have pink hair?" Itachi gave a blink. He flared his chakra and tried to dispel any genjutsu that might be affecting him right away, but he was unsuccessful. He glanced at Sasuke, then at his pink-haired sons, then back at his brother, and finally at the twin pink-haired boys before doing something that Sasuke had never thought Itachi would ever do. Itachi chuckled. Itachi let out a loud laugh, so loud that he collapsed to the ground, still laughing and gripping his abdomen. "What's making you laugh?" Sasuke yelled at Itachi with rage. Pointing to Sasuke's sons, Itachi said, "The color pink, pink-haired. Uchiha boys with pink hair." After saying that, he burst out laughing once more. Sasuke growled at his brother, who was laughing uncontrollably, and his face flushed deeply red with either rage or shame, most likely both. Itachi was laughing so hard that tears were welling up in the corners of his eyes and his eyes were red. "Itachi, stop laughing." Once more, Sasuke yelled, "Itachi! Itachi!" Sasuke shouted as he jolted up in his bed. Looking around, he realized that he was his bedroom. Dream? He shivered as he considered it. "No, it wasn't a dream," he said. "It was a nightmare." Naruto turned around in a hurry and saw the person he had anticipated. White Setsu's clone said cheerfully, "Hey, isn't it Black Setsu?" Similar to White Setsu, Black Setsu was humanoid in shape and had extensions on one side that resembled Venus flytraps. In addition, he had short green hair, a single yellow eye without a pupil or sclera, and a jagged toothed mouth. He was entirely black, just like his name. Since Black Setsu was the physical embodiment of Princess Kaguya Otsutsuki's will, he was more somber and knowledgeable than White Setsu. He was her final creation. He was an actual adversary, and the real cause of everything. For years he had worked to bring her back to life by influencing the shinobi world. In a deep voice that was very different from the clone's, Black Setsu said to it, "Idiot, go back to your work." The clone sank slowly into the ground after saying, "Oh, well," with disappointment. Naruto asked, "Where is your white half?" He was aware that the two halves of Setsu hardly ever separated from one another. "On the mission that pain, Nagato has given us." Naruto gave a nod. He approached a stone chair and took a seat, crossing his arms and resting one leg on top of the other. He questioned, "Why did you want to see me here?" After sinking into the earth, Black Setsu emerged holding a scroll. He hurled the scroll at Naruto saying, "To give you this." The scroll was successfully captured by Naruto. He looked at the scroll and asked, "What is it?" It was only a small scroll with a recognizable red swirl engraved on it. "The Uzumaki swirl?" he asked, looking up at Black Setsu, waiting for him to speak. But when he remained silent, he repeated, "What is in the scroll, Zetsu?" "Probably something you would like." Despite raising an eyebrow at it, Naruto proceeded to open the scroll. When he read the first few lines written in the scroll, his eyes grew wide, and they grew even wider when he finished reading it. His eyes were wide open as he gazed at Black Setsu, who was grinning. "Where did you get this information?" he inquired. Black Setsu's grin took on even more width. "I've been here since the beginning of shinobi time," said the man. "I know more about the shinobi world than almost any other individual." As he rolled up the scroll, Naruto remarked, "If this is true, then I want it. Send some White Setsu's clones to find its exact location." "Why aren't you going there personally?" "Setsu's clones can mimic anyone they have been in contact with, right down to their chakra. One clone can easily take your place till you come back. My teleportation has some limitations. It hasn't reached Mom's level yet. If I overuse it, I won't be able to use it until my Rinne Sharingan has fully recharged, a process which takes a considerable amount of time," Naruto stated. "Also, Minato is monitoring me closely. We can't take that man lightly. After all, he's a leader of the most powerful shinobi village for nothing. So we'll wait for the right time, and I am sure we'll get it soon, very soon." Black Setsu had witnessed the altercation between Tobi and Minato. After determining the boy's space, time technique's weakness, the fourth had destroyed him twice. Minato was genuinely brilliant. He gave a head nod. Yes, we can't underestimate that man. Naruto put his chin on a fist and said, anyway, tell me, Black Zetsu, how's your pet project? How's Akatsuki? Have they started to capture tail beasts yet? No, not yet. They are currently collecting funds for the organization. Naruto remarked, interesting, as his gaze changed to a special dojutsu. Mind telling me everything about them? He was told everything by Black Zetsu. He left no small details behind. He even provided him with details about each member's strengths and weaknesses. Once Black Zetsu had given him all the information, Naruto pondered deeply. Good, but let me know immediately if anything happens in the organization, he replied. Black Zetsu flashed his sharp teeth in a toothy smile. Yes, I'll keep in touch. Before advancing to more complex exercises, Kakashi and Kushina began Team 7's training after officially joining the team with fundamental chakra control drills like tree climbing and water walking, which every newly created genin should be able to perform. Since Sakura had a remarkable innate ability to control chakras and Naruto had known them before they were even genins, those exercises came naturally to them. The same could not be said for Sasuke and Natsumi. Due to their naturally large chakra reverse, it took them over 2 weeks to get to a respectable level. After every student had mastered the fundamentals, Kakashi and Kushina proceeded to more complex topics, such as team building activities and enhancing each student's unique abilities. Kushina had even succeeded in instilling a certain amount of fandling in Sakura during the team's training sessions, which made the pink-haired girl take her shinobi career seriously. After that, the pink-haired girl had significantly improved, but Kushina was still annoyed by how little she had changed in her obsession with Sasuke. Kakashi and Kushina exposed their genin to the horror of D-rank missions, the lowest classification missions, once Team 7 had attained the level that both sensei desired. These missions, which posed virtually no risk to the ninja's life, were typically given to the genin team. They handled things as basic as weeding a garden and tracking down lost pets. All genins were annoyed by this. Instead of completing those pointless missions, the majority of them would rather hone their own ninja skills. They were merely household tasks. The day was the same as any other. Since becoming an official team, Team 7 had made the bridge their regular meeting place, and they were waiting for their sensei and teammate to arrive. Sakura was attempting to approach him, but Sasuke was leaning against the bridge railing and attempting to keep as far away from her as possible. He still found her annoying, despite the fact that she was no longer a fan group. Natsumi, their third team member, was observing the river as it flowed elegantly beneath the bridge. She was considering how to persuade her twin, who had not yet arrived, to return to the house. Dark smoke suddenly filled the half-bridge. The thing that surprised me the most was that nobody seemed to care. It gathered into a hooded figure around a particular location on the bridge. Naruto was the one. Both Kushina and Kakashi appeared with a puff of smoke immediately after him. Kakashi said, "Yo." In his typical way, Kushina said, "Hello, students," with a smile. "Today, we are going on a special D-rank mission." Naruto muttered under his breath. D-rank missions are nothing special. They're all just a bunch of chores, Kakashi said, "except you, Naruto," and the blonde boy gave him a raised eyebrow in response. "Minato, sensei wants to meet you." Naruto thought, this is a lot better than this chore, and he spread out into the air as black smoke. Sakura looked at Kakashi and questioned, "Why does Hokage-sama want to meet him?" Both Sasuke and Natsumi turned to face him, curious as to what it was. Kakashi definitely sidestepped that question in his typical lazy fashion, nothing special. After obtaining authorization, Naruto entered the Hokage office after appearing outside. He noticed that the former and current Hokage were seated with their two advisors. Hiruzen said, "Welcome, Naruto-kun," as soon as he saw the handsome boy. After nodding at him, Naruto met Minato's eyes directly. He said, "What can I do for you, Hokage-sama?" Kaharu got right to the point when she said, "It's about your special talent." Naruto looked to the right where Hamura and Koharu were seated. "Which one?" Hamura replied, adjusting his glasses. "Your wood release." "What about it?" inquired Naruto. Those two were disliked by Naruto. They were prone to sticking their noses into other people. Former Hokage called out, "Yamato," and a man with short brown hair and almond-shaped black eyes came into the office. Looking at the man, Naruto turned his head. He wore a flak jacket, a variation of the typical leaf-nin outfit. He also wore a forehead protector in the Happyuri style, which framed his face and was reminiscent of Tobirama Senju's. Naruto knew who the man was. He was formerly known as Kino, a root Umbu codename. "Naruto, meet Yamato," exclaimed Hiruzen. "He is your new teacher. He can also use wood release like you." As Naruto looked closely at the man who was doing the same thing as him, he thought, so they gave him another code name. He startled everyone in the office by saying, "So you are the lone survivor of Snake Sannin's experiment on the first Hokage's DNA. How did you know about this?" "It's one of the high-class secrets of the village," Kaharu said in a bossy tone. Naruto sneered. "Ask your current Hokage, who has a tendency to leave important documents on his study table." They all looked at Minato. The fourth was so embarrassed that his cheeks were flushed. "Sorry." Hamura turned back to Naruto and asked, "Just how many secrets you know?" Naruto replied, "Not too many," but he had another thought going on inside. "You old fools, I am aware of Hidden Leaf Village's darkest secrets." With a sigh, Hiruzen turned back to his successor's son. "Keep them secret," he instructed me. Naruto gave a nod. "I'm going to keep them a secret until later." Before he nodded, Minato called out to Umbu Yamato to get his attention. Before grabbing Naruto's shoulder and vanishing in a whirlpool of leaves, Yamato made a deep bow. "I should have taught you the proper way to keep a secret before giving my position to you," Hiruzen said, turning to face his successor. Hamura responded, "What were you doing anyway when your son was reading S-rank documents?" "Well," Minato replied, "I was busy." His cheeks were slightly flushed with Kushina. Hiruzen drenched in sweat. "I can't really blame him, though. I had experienced it as well many times." "Minato," Kahara said, drawing the attention of the current Hokage, "are you sure he doesn't know the truth of the Uchiha clan's massacre?" Minato gave a head shake. "There's no document or file on that incident, so I'm sure Naruto doesn't know about it." Minato was so mistaken. Even more than his father, his son was aware of the truth about the Uchiha clan massacre. On a vast expanse of land, Yamato and Naruto emerge. Naruto's violet eyes searched for his location. With a few slight variations, the location resembled Training Ground 3, which Team 7 used. He was able to determine, nevertheless, that this was one of the restricted training areas that Umbu used for their own training. "The safest training areas to keep out prying eyes," Yamato said. "Well, Namika," as he turned to face the blonde boy. Naruto interrupted, "Naruto, just call me Naruto." Despite looking at him in confusion, Yamato nodded. He said, "Well, Naruto-san, first, show me what you can do in a political manner." After nodding and raising his hands, Naruto found himself standing on a branch of a fully grown tree in less than a minute. Leaping to the ground, he awaited Yamato's response. Yamato remarked, "Your control over wood release is impressive." Obviously impressed by his performance. The sheer life force of wood release made it extremely difficult to control. He inquired, "Do you know any jutsu?" Naruto grinned. He could still show up, albeit a little, even though he had chosen to keep his true ability to use wood release hidden. He started creating hand seals. He completed the final hand seal, which was a low-level variant of his favorite move, wood release secret technique, nativity of a world of trees. Wood style, giant forest jutsu. Yamato leapt out of the way as tiny trees began to emerge from the ground. A tiny portion of the training area was covered with fully grown trees in less than a minute. Naruto made a phony panting noise and dropped to his knees. He would have a justification for displaying this degree of skill in this way. With a clap for him, Yamato said, "Good, you are much better than I thought," as he approached. "But where did you learn this technique?" "Well, I sneaked into the Senju library to learn more about wood release," Naruto replied. It was only partially true. Setsu entered the Senju library covertly, not him. Yamato inquired, "How did you enter the Senju library covertly?" Once, he had attempted to enter the library, but it had failed miserably due to a blood seal on the door. I'm from the Uzumaki clan. We are distant blood relatives of the Senju clan, replied Naruto. And the seal is designed by the first wife, Mido Uzumaki. Yamato gave a nod. It was totally logical. Minato was in his office talking to elders and the former Hokage. They were debating some important issues when the office door flew open, letting Hofuge's daughter enter with a cat in tow. The rest of Team 7 and their jounin sensei then followed. All 3 genin were in poor condition, but both sensei appeared to be in perfect health. Their clothing was soiled and covered in mud. Their faces also had minor scratches and bruises. Natsumi yelled "Daddy" while raising the brown cat. The cat's amber eyes and lighter-colored markings on her head were complemented by a red ribbon on her right ear. She was known as Tora, the notorious demon cat who was the scourge of all leaf ninjas. Madame Shirjimi, the fire daimyo's wife, was Tora's owner, and she had a terrible habit of escaping from her. She abruptly added, "I don't want this little monster's mission again," and Sakura and Sasuke nodded their heads in agreement. After searching her for 3 hours, they had captured this small monster. Sasuke was contemplating whether or not he ought to kill this monster before killing Itachi. The strange behavior of the genin team in front of them caused all of the adults in the room to perspire. Minato was about to speak to her when Tora leapt out of Natsumi's grasp and onto the floor. She had managed to break out of Natsumi's hold somehow. Unfortunately, the door was open when she ran toward it. After a few seconds of the 3 genin staring at the scene with their mouths hanging open, Natsumi emerged from her stupor and yelled, "Catch that demon cat." However, it was too late. Keeping her laughter to herself, Kushina remarked, "Well, looks like we've got to catch her again." 3 genin fell back to the floor, exhausted and completely defeated. "I dislike that feline," Sakura muttered. Yamato entered the office a minute later, followed by Naruto, who was petting a very familiar cat. Sakura recognized the demon cat Tora in Naruto's hands and asked, "Tora?" In his hands, she appeared so at ease. "How are doing this?" Natsumi inquired. "And how did catch her so easily?" "It took all of us nearly 3 hours to catch her." When asked, "Well, because I'm good," Naruto said. He gave the cat a head pat. Only the adults in the office were aware of Naruto's use of genjutsu to soothe Tora. They were all obviously impressed by the way he was using his genjutsu skills. Minato commanded, "All genin, you are dismissed, and Naruto, give Tora to Kakashi." Naruto complied with Minato's request and departed with the other genin. The office glowed bluish for a few seconds before returning to normal as all of the genin left, and Minato used some privacy jutsu hand seals. He uttered, "Give me report, Yamato." "Well, his control over wood release is impressive. Even I wasn't that good when I had first started to learn wood release," Yamato replied. Naruto's skill clearly impressed him. The boy was truly brilliant. "How long will it take him to learn to suppress the tail, beast chakra?" asked Koharu. "I don't know. Maybe 1 year or more." "It depends on him," Yamato replied. Unaware that one of White Setsu's clones was observing them and listening in on their conversation, they started talking about Naruto and other significant topics. Naruto was standing on top of subterranean lake water in his new, covert hideout. He wore his new ninja attire, which included a dark blue pair of pants, a black zipper, less hoodie with a red lining, mesh armor with navy accents underneath, and matching shinobi sandals. The location was being set up for White Setsu by some of his clones. Naruto, alone on the water's surface, inhaled deeply before drawing his ninjutsu blade with a single fluid motion. He practiced swinging it a couple of times and was amazed at how fast and strong it felt. He then started practicing his swordplay by slashing and swinging at a fictitious foe. Before he collapsed on his knee, gasping for air, he practiced his sword skills for several hours. Naruto noticed his own reflection in the water when he looked down. He appeared more pale than normal. In addition to having a streak of light color that matched Kaguya's hair color exactly, his hair appeared to have been bleached. He reasoned that his mother's chakra was still having an impact on his body. "You do know that ninjutsu is a gift from Kushina, right?" Naruto got to his feet and looked around to see Black Zetsu rise from the earth in his merged form. 2 large Venus fly. like extensions that encased their head and upper body like a shell, made it easy to identify two Zetsu from one another. It made them look like plants. White Zetsu defended Naruto by saying, "Of course he knows. But he ruined everything by posing the following query. You know, right?" "Idiot," muttered Black Zetsu. As Naruto put it, "Yes, I know, Zetsu." While holding the ninjutsu, Naruto glanced down at it. He had discovered this exquisite sword on his doorstep 2 days prior, wrapped in red silk fabric. Kurumi, Dark Beauty, was her given name by him. She was a stunning ninjutsu with a pinched black dragon with red eyes coiling around the handle, and a red-black hilt blade flew out of dragon's mouth, which was wide open. The Uzumaki swirl was created by its long tail wrapping around the handle. The metal blade could be used to cut through anything because it was so sharp. It previously contained the kanji of Will of Fire, but Naruto replaced it with the kanji of Peace and Balance. The statement, "I thought you hate your parents," was made by Black Zetsu. As Naruto said, "I hate them, but I don't let that hate blind me," he raised his ninjutsu. "And look at her. She is a high-quality, custom-made ninjutsu. You will need deep pockets to afford a weapon like her. You and we both know, I don't have that much money." As White Zetsu's clone set up the area for him, Naruto approached the ground. They were putting weapons in their proper places and organizing books and scrolls, among other tasks. With his sword sheltered, Naruto remarked, "So I got the opportunity, and I grabbed it, couldn't let it slip away." "A free weapon," said White Zetsu. Naruto ducked quickly as a box full of shuriken and kunai flew past over his head, nearly touching his hair. "Yes, you could say that. Hey, watch out, you idiot!" he yelled at the clone of White Zetsu who had done it. Wiping all the dust from his clothes, he got to his feet. "Sorry, it slipped out of my hand," the clone said. With haste, he sank into the earth and emerged beside the box. Because he didn't want to be involved in another mishap, Naruto vanished and then resurfaced near the stone chair. Far from those foolish clones, he sat down on it. He put his hand under his chin and said, "Did you find it, Zetsu?" Only Zetsu's head was visible when he emerged from the ground in front of him. Nothing uttered his black half. His white half told him, "But my clones are searching for it." "Good," said Naruto. "Keep me updated on progress." White Zetsu said, "Another thing I think you should know," after giving a nod. Black Zetsu went on to say, "This year, Hidden Leaf is hosting Chunin exams, and we've heard rumors that Cloud and Stone even Mist are sending their candidates for exams." Naruto remarked, "The Chunin exams interesting," as he pondered deeply. Using earphones she had provided to her students, Kushina inquired, "What's the distance of the target?" When Sasuke said, 5 meters, "I'm ready anytime." Sakura and Natsumi both said, "Same here," simultaneously. "Me too," said Kakashi, laughing as he turned to his orange book. It was his one and only opportunity to read his favorite book series without upsetting Kushina. "Whatever," was Naruto's final response. Once more, the Catch Tora mission had been given to Team 7. For the last 2 weeks, they have been doing D-rank missions non-stop. All missions were merely tasks that civilians were too indolent to complete. One of the worst missions ever was the Tora mission. "Okay," Kushina replied. "Go." They all cornered the target after she signaled to them. Sasuke and Natsumi both sprang into action and tried to seize the cat. Naruto swiftly applied a genjutsu to Tora after catching her tail as she attempted to flee. "Got her," declared Naruto. Without taking his eyes off the book, Kakashi said, "Ribbon on the left tiara. Are you sure this is the target, Tora?" "Yeah, I'm sure," Naruto said, giving the well-behaved cat a pat. As soon as Kushina saw the book in his hand, she yelled, "Kakashi, put your book away." Kakashi gave a terrified nod. He didn't want to die, so he quickly put his book back in his pocket. Kushina grinned brightly and said, "Good job, Team 7. Lost pet Tora, search mission complete." Natsumi yelled, "No, absolutely not," at her dad. As her cheeks turned red with shame, she clapped her hands over her mouth and exclaimed, "I want to do, a more incredible mission. Find us a better one, Dad Bail." As Minato perspired, Kushina grinned at Minnie. She is starting to resemble her mother more and more. He even thought that her verbal tic was the same as hers. Iruka rose from his seat at the table. After saying, "Natsumi, you should realize you're still a genin," he started to describe the mission system. Each request is written down on these lists and divided into an A, B, C, D ranking based on difficulty. Iruka briefly explained. The village is also divided based on skill, starting with Hokage to the Jounin, then the Chunin, and lastly the Genin. The missions are then handed out by us at the top of the ninjas based on their abilities, and if the duty is completed successfully, we receive payment from the client. He inhaled deeply. He was alone with himself, he concluded, then turned to look around. You guys just recently became genin. D-rank missions are perfect for you, he said. He had a tick mark on his forehead. Kakashi and Naruto were both reading books. With her back to him, Natsumi was discussing her experience eating ramen yesterday with Sakura and Sasuke. To put it simply, nobody was paying any attention to him. Iruka's mouth fell to the ground as he turned to face Hokage. In particular, Kushina was seated on Minato's lap with her hands around his neck. They were merely discussing a few unrelated subjects. Iruka pretended to cough in order to get their attention. When he received no response, he exclaimed, "Hokage-sama." With haste, Kushina rose from Minato's lap. Her cheeks blushed a little as Minato made the necessary adjustments before turning to face Team 7. He didn't understand him, so he asked, "You understood him, right?" Naruto said, "Not really," as he looked up and closed his book. "But I've heard that Team 8 is on a C rank mission. Is this true, Iruka-sensei?" "What?" Sasuke and Natsumi both yelled simultaneously. They jerked their heads in the direction of their old instructor, demanding an explanation. Knowing what was coming, Iruka let out a sigh. "Yes, it's true. Their mission is to escort the Master Bridge Builder to the Land of Waves and protect him while he finishes building his bridge," he replied. Naruto had no faith that Team 8 would make it back to the Hidden Leaf without incident. He had learned of the dire state of the Land of Waves from his spies. The bridge builder was under Team 8's protection, and the demon of the Hidden Mist, Zabuza Momochi, had been hired by the local gangster Gata to kill him. To put it briefly, the mission's difficulty level was somewhere between an A and AB, so it wasn't a straightforward C rank. That type of mission wasn't a good fit for Team 8. It was a tracking team, not a combat team. Additionally, there were far too many skill gaps between Kurenai and Zabuza. Prior to joining the Seven Swordsmen of Mist, where Kurenai was a recently appointed Jounin, Zabuza was an Umbu. She lacked the knowledge and expertise necessary to take on a ninja like him. Even if she had them, she couldn't defend both her client and her students at the same time without getting seriously hurt in the process. Natsumi practically yelled, "Dad, we also want a C rank mission," to demonstrate that she wouldn't accept a no. "Well, Aya," Minato said after rubbing the back of his head and thinking for a moment. An unidentified Chunin exclaimed, "Hokage-sama," as he hurried into the Hokage office. After bowing slightly, he stated, "Team 8 needs backup. Their Jounin sensei is injured." "But how?" Minato asked. "What, we don't know. The message is very short." Minato turned to the two sensei of Team 7 inside. "Apparently, are they ready for a higher class mission?" Kakashi and Kushina exchanged glances before turning to face their pupils. Sakura appeared a little anxious, but Sasuke and Natsumi appeared committed to completing this mission. She wasn't held responsible for that. It would be their first actual mission. They then turned to Naruto, the last person on their team, who appeared uninterested and unconcerned. Kushina turned away from her spouse. "They're ready, Minato-kun," she declared with pride. "All right, Team 7, you are heading to the Land of Waves as a backup for Team 8, Minato said with a slight smile. Even Sasuke had a tiny smile on his lips as Natsumi began to cheer. Sakura remained anxious. Naruto, meanwhile, was not listening. "All right. Team 7, meet us at the Hidden Leaf Gate in 2 hours, Kakashi stated. After packing everything he would need for the mission, Naruto strapped a ninjutsu onto his back. Black Zetsu inquired, "Are you going to visit the site?" Naruto replied, "Maybe," and started to head for the door. After saying, "Let me know if you need any help," Black Zetsu sank into the wooden floor. After leaving his apartment, Naruto locked the door and used seals to secure it. He spun around, leaped from his balcony, and landed on the roof of the second story. Then he began to leap from rooftop to rooftop, moving swiftly in the direction of the hidden leaf gate. Naruto was the first to arrive at the gate. He waited for others to arrive while leaning against a wall. Before everyone could arrive, Kakashi appeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto's eyebrow went up. He remarked, "You've come before the time?" Kakashi remarked, "Hey, I'm not always late." Naruto shot him a sardonic glance. "Okay, I've come late to our meetings and training sections many times, and I admit, I'm not exactly the most punctual person, but I'm not the worst. There are a lot of people worse than me in that department." Naruto pulled a book out of his pouch and shook his head. "Whatever helps you sleep at night, Kakashi-sensei," said the man. Knowing that he would lose this argument, Kakashi sighed. Then he took out his Aika book and began reading, just like Naruto had done. Sasuke arrived a minute later, with Sakura, his favorite fangirl, trailing closely behind. They were both dressed in their typical ninja attire. They also carried backpacks on their backs to hold their extra ninja supplies and other necessities for the mission. Sakura noticed Kakashi was already there while traveling. He was reading an orange book while standing next to Naruto. She said, "Kakashi? Sensei, you are on time." Kakashi started to perspire. "Is that how bad my reputation is?" A puff of smoke appeared, and Sasuke was joined by Kushina and Natsumi. Kakashi turned to them after hastily tucking his book into his flak jacket. Natsumi was wearing her new outfit, which included a black skirt, thigh-length fishnet stockings, sandals, and a red ninjata strap on her back. Kushina was wearing her typical jounin uniform, while Natsumi was wearing a yellow blouse with a red shirt underneath that showed off her navel. Students were asked by Kushina, "So, are you ready?" They nodded at her. "Let's go." They set out for the land of waves after leaving the village. Knock knock coming. A stunning woman with dark hair came to the door when there was a knock. Shino pulled a kunai and went to answer the door in her place as she was about to open it. Shino opened the door without showing his weapon and saw his 4 old classmates, a red-headed woman he recognized as Kushina Uzumaki, and a man wearing a mask. Kushina smiled at him and said, "You must be Kurinai's student, Aburame's Shino, right?" "Yes," replied Shino. He was a quiet person. He turned back to face the woman inside the house and gave her a signal that everything was fine. "Hello? My name is Tsunami. You all must be the group of ninjas sent to help the others protect my father." The woman bowed to the newcomers as she approached the door and greeted them with a warm smile. Kushina grinned. "My name is Uzumaki Kushina. It's nice to meet you. I'm Hitaki Kakashi." Kakashi smiled. He looked behind him and said, "Those are our students. The brooding one is Uchiha Sasuke, the little red head is Uzumaki Natsumi. Pinky's name is Haruno Sakura. The blonde boy is Naruto." HN was Sasuke's well-known stoic reply. Sakura grinned at her, Natsumi grinned, and Naruto simply nodded his head. As they all entered and Tsunami shut the door behind them, Shino stood to the side. Kushina inquired, "Where is your team, Shino?" "They are in the living room." With the exception of their teacher, the rest of Team 8 was present when they arrived in the living room. They all appeared more worn out. Hinata had a small amount of blood on her arm, indicating that she had been struck by a small weapon, most likely a saban needle, and Kiba had a torn jacket. Shino appeared worn out as well, which they had not previously noticed, that likely due to the chakra exhaustion. When Natsumi saw Hinata, she moved forward and gave her childhood friend a quick embrace. "Thank goodness you're safe, Hinata," she replied. "I was worried about you." The shy girl, "Sorry for making you worried," she said. Unconsciously, she massaged her wounded arm. Naruto's gaze fell upon this. He took a tiny vial out of his pocket, which held a pale purplish liquid, and hurled it at Hinata. The Hyuga airless grabbed the vial and gave the blonde a suspicious glance. "That medicine will ease your pain," he informed her. Thank you," Hinata said as she put the medication in her pocket. Kiba said to himself, "Thank God." Upon seeing the team, "We really need your help, Kurinai. Sensei is upstairs injured from a fight, and we didn't know what to do without her." As he gestured for Naruto to go check on Kurinai, Kakashi grinned at the young man and said, "You did everything you were supposed to do." Sit in a fortified area and wait for backup, and well done on not just answering the door. Go see if you can get her up and moving, Naruto. Do what you can. Naruto said yes, Kakashi-sensei, and nodded. The words, I'll accompany you, Naruto-kun, were spoken by Kushina. As she and Naruto passed them on their way up the stairs, Kushina grinned at Team 8. They encountered an elderly man en route. They knew him as the master bridge builder, Tazuna. In the file, they had seen his photo. He had dark eyes, a big beard, and gray hair. He was dressed in pants and a sleeveless versus neck shirt with an obi. The bridge's builder was intoxicated, then he sipped the sake. His gaze landed on Kushina. His wrinkly face broke into a perverted grin. The old man was about to urinate when Kushina saw that and gave him a death glare. His eyes were filled with fear as he hurried away from her. As Naruto and Kushina entered the room, he thought, idiot. Kurenai was sleeping on her stomach, but her dress was torn there, and it was obvious that she had a deep cut there that wasn't healing properly. Naruto hurriedly covered her body with seals. Kushina pointed to the seals that were blinking in a purple light and inquired, what are those seals for? Naruto focused all of his attention on Kurenai and avoided looking at her. Why are you asking me? You're an Uzumaki. Fuinjutsu is in your blood, he replied. Kushina put his signature. This was the kind of response she should have anticipated from her son. Let's check. She kept a close eye on the seal. She quickly figured out what those seals meant. So these are medical tags, she announced. Where did you get them? They are more advanced and complicated than those tags we use in hospitals. I made them. You made those tags? I didn't know you know Funjutsu. There are many things you don't know about me. Kushina observed her son creating some seals with his hands. He had advanced this far in one of the most difficult shinobi arts, Fuinjutsu. Her son's Uzumaki blood really flew strong. I've treated her wounds, but seems like she has some chakra exhaustion, said Naruto. Kurenai had a deep wound on her stomach, and his glowing green hands were on it. I will have to feed some of my chakra slowly into her body to relieve the stress on her coils and to flush the toxins from her chakra stream. Kushina said, good news for you, Team 8. Kurenai is out of danger. For a meeting, Team 7 and Team 8 had assembled in the living room. Team 8 signed in relief after learning that their teacher would be okay. Kushina went on, but the bad news is she can't help us in this mission. She's going to need rest to allow her body to heal. One of us has to take care of her. I'll do it, Sakura said, offering to help out. More than others, Team 7 was taken aback by this. Kushina gave her approval as Kakashi glanced at her. Kakashi looked at Team 8 after saying, okay. Sakura will take care of Kurenai as well as the guard this home. Now explain to me what happened since you fought the Demon Brothers. We defeated the Demon Brothers with teamwork and help from our sensei. Then we acquired the real information about the mission from Tazuna and decided as a group to continue on with the missions. After Kurenai, sensei sent a message for backup. We took the boat ride to the village. Then we encountered a missing ninja by the name of Momochi Zabuza. Taking a deep breath, Shino spoke. Then he was cut off before he could say anything more. Natsumi closed her eyes and thought, Momochi Zabuza. That name sounds familiar, as she attempted to recall. Naruto uttered, Momochi Zabuza, aka Demon of the Hidden Mist. Natsumi smiled slightly at her brother. Ah yes, now I remember. Thanks, brother, she said. Whatever, sneered Naruto. Since he didn't need her, he turned his head away. Momochi Zabuza. He is a rank missing. Nin from the mist, Natsumi replied. He is one of the former 7 swordsmen of the Hidden Mist and specialist in a silent killing technique. That man is dangerous. Wow, Natsumi. It's very smart, but where did you get this information? Sakura inquired. Natsumi gave her head a back rub. Well, ever since I learned that our lazy sensei isn't lazy but a genius of his generation, I have been reading about famous shinobis and missing nins for future. After all, knowledge is power. Kushina commended her daughter saying, You're heading in the right direction, Natsumi-chan, before turning to Shino. You may continue, Shino-kun. Kurenai-sensei instructed us to protect the client while she fought with Zabuza. The matchup was unfortunately heavily sided in Zabuza's favor because of the jutsu that he could use. Kurenai. Sensei did everything she could, but she could only protect us while we escaped with the client. She soon met up with us afterwards, in which she collapsed to the house from exhaustion. Shino clarified in a monotone voice. Good work, teammate. Did Kurenai say anything to you before she collapsed? Kakashi inquired. Oh, she did mention that Kiri Hunter Nin took Zabuza's dead body, Kiba recalled. Sasuke expressed disappointment when he said, so Zabuza is dead, since he had truly wanted to prove his mettle against a formidable ninja like Zabuza. Abruptly, Naruto said, I'm not so sure. Kiba looked at Naruto and said, What do you mean? What are you not sure about? Naruto turned to face Team 7 and Team 8. The hunter. Nins usually dispose of the body of the person they killed right there. That way no one has a chance to discover the secrets. Suddenly, Kakashi and Kushina realized everything. Sakura, who had no idea what Naruto was saying, questioned, So what? Kushina told all the genins, it means Zabuza may be alive and that Hunter Nin who took his body as his companion. People in the room appeared to react differently to the news that Zabuza was still alive. Natsumi looked thrilled. Sasuke was grinning, believing that he would have the opportunity to battle a formidable foe and establish his Uchiha status while also getting closer to killing Itachi. Not feeling nearly as confident as her crush, Sakura glanced around anxiously. Hinata felt anxious. In a battle like this, she knew she had no chance of contributing. Since Shino had not displayed any emotion, nobody could tell what he was thinking. Kiba questioned, Aren't you thinking too much? He planned to repay Zabuza for what he had done to his sensei if he was still living. Hunter. Nins are supposed to kill missing Nins. No, with all the suspicion, we will prepare before it's too late. That's shinobi rule, Kakashi said. Plus, whether Zabuza dead or alive, there's no assurance that Gato hasn't hired an even stronger shinobi. Fearful of seeing Zabuza again, Hinata questioned B. But what can we do? For her, the entire mission had gotten worse. Natsumi gestured to Kushina and Kakashi and said, Don't be afraid, Hinata-chan. We have 2 jounin and the rest of us. Still not feeling particularly good about this whole situation, Hinata smiled weakly at her best friend. Take a look at what you did to your lovely girl, Haishir. Baka, he was held accountable by Kushina for Hinata's lack of self-assurance. Looking at Naruto, she thought sadly, but again, I'm not better than you. Her son had changed because of her and Minato's actions. Naruto was once a bright and kind youngster, but he had turned into a shadow of his former self. Kakashi, sensei, I'm going outside to gather some medicinal herbs, said Naruto. After a few steps in Naruto's direction, Natsumi said, Brother, I'm coming with you. It's not safe to go alone. I didn't need your help. If you go with me, you will be a burden to me. But what if Zabuza? When she said, Zabuza isn't going to attack soon, Naruto interrupted. From what Shino told us, Zabuza is also injured. It will take a while for him to recover. Natsumi opened her mouth to protest angrily, but her mother intervened. Let him go, Natsumi. Natsumi wanted to object, but she was unable to do so. But Naruto said, Thank you, and hurried out of the room, shutting the door behind him. Naruto gracefully jumped from one tree to another, hopping from one branch to another. He didn't want to ruin this fantastic opportunity, so he had sharpened his senses to make sure no one was following. He continued to leap from tree to tree and branch to branch until he arrived at his destination. He pumped chakra into his legs as he spotted a clearing, then leapt high into the air and silently landed on the verdant ground. Naruto asked, Zetsu, have you found the entrance? He stepped forward a couple of paces and then turned his head to the right. Slowly, he watched Zetsu come up out of the grass. Yes. We've found it, announced White Zetsu. Zetsu, the black one, finished, but it's protected by a strong barrier. Naruto said, I'll handle that barrier, taking off his gloves. Now, get ready for the switch. I require a White Zetsu's clone for this process. Near Naruto, a White Zetsu clone materialized from the earth. Hi, he said, gesturing to Naruto. Naruto began creating hand seals after biting his right thumb. Nervously, the clone asked, Is it going to hurt? Naruto finished the final hand seal and uttered the words, I don't know, let's find out, shall we? He pressed his right hand into the chest of the clone. A tiny array of seals appeared on the body of the clone. The clone said, "It doesn't hurt," and then his skin began to ripple. The rippling had begun on his chest and proceeded throughout his entire body. Naruto said, "Good to know," and took the hand off the clone's chest. Naruto saw the body of the clone start to melt. He initially believed his experiment had failed, but then an unexpected event occurred. The clone's body began to take shape, clothes started to appear on it, and his skin and hair began to take on color. The white Setsu's clone became his exact replica in a matter of minutes. To his replica, Naruto inquired, "How do you feel?" His clone said, "I don't know, boss, but it's felt weird in someone else's body," as he examined his own frame. The white half of Zetsu, looking closely at Naruto's replica, asked in confusion, "What did you do?" "I've also the same question," Zetsu's black half expressed. His white half was also perplexed. "White Zetsu and his clones are particularly part of a tree, so I used your clone to make the body of my wood clone. This technique is a fusion of wood clone technique and Fuinjutsu," said Naruto. "But tell you the truth, I wasn't even sure this was going to work. But it worked." The clone of Naruto grinned. The black Zetsu questioned, "Why did you go to such lengths to make this clone? A Zetsu's clone would have easily taken your place in this mission." Naruto looked at his clone and perspired. "I can't control the action of Zetsu's clone, but I can control my clone's action," he said. A finger was being inserted into his nose by his clone. "I retract my claim that I have no control over my own clone's behavior." Zetsu both gave a little laugh. "I'll meet you there, brother," the black Zetsu introduced himself. Naruto could still hear their laughter as Zetsu gradually blended into the earth and vanished. He let out a sigh and pretended to cough in order to attract his clone's attention. "What?" asked Naruto's clone. His finger was still lodged in his nose. "Will you please stop doing it?" "I have an image." "Sorry," the clone said, pulling his hands away from his face and standing up straight. "I need you to behave properly and please don't do anything I wouldn't do." Naruto bounded through the air. He paused for a few seconds before beginning to fall toward the earth. He was completely engulfed by a dark portal that opened before he even touched the ground. Naruto's special clone scratched the back of his head and asked, "Why did boss come here?" He closed his eyes and lay flat on the grass, saying, "Well, I think about it later. Time to take a nap." Naruto landed on the dusty ground crouching with his feet wide apart and one hand supporting his weight. "I don't know, but I've got a feeling my clone has done something stupid," he told himself. "Cool landing," a Zetsu clone uttered as he clapped his hands. After saying thanks, Naruto got up and brushed the dirt off his clothing. He turned to see where he had been flung by the portal, the ruins of Yuzushiogakure. A squat, severely damaged, but remarkably sturdy-looking building stood in the middle of the ruins. Built of solid stone and 2 stories high, it appeared to have been carved from a single enormous slab of rock. It was located on a separate island in the center of the river that split the village in two, and it was most likely the seat of authority for the village leader. With enormous steel doors that had been forced open beneath a gigantic Uzumaki crest, it appeared to be mostly undamaged. Rough gouges appeared in all of the walls as if pieces of stone had been ripped from them. The remains of 2 bridges that connected the village were accessible via pathways shores. It appeared that they were the largest. Compared to the wooden buildings in Konoha, the ruins all appeared extremely alien to Naruto because they were made of steel, concrete, and rock. It appeared that Yuzu's buildings were significantly taller than the majority of those in Konoha. Naruto asked the clone of Zetsu that was pursuing him, "Where is Zetsu?" The black Zetsu said, "I'm here, brother," as he crept out of the wall. Naruto remarked, "You're late," looking around inquisitively. "Sorry, we got lost on the road of life," said the smiling white Zetsu. Naruto wasn't in the mood to joke, so he said, "It's not funny. We've already wasted too much time. Tell me, where is the entrance?" The black Zetsu reprimanded the white Zetsu, saying, "Stop your nonsense, brother. Follow me." Naruto followed Zetsu through the demolished village's ruins. There wasn't much nature and a lot of buildings that had been destroyed. Everything appeared as though it had just been completely destroyed by fire. In some places, it appeared that everything had already been taken or destroyed. It enhanced the atmosphere of the place, giving the impression that no one had visited Yuzushiogakure in decades. When he noticed a sleeping boy, a boy with brown eyes and long black hair who appeared feminine, carried a basket through the woods. As he approached, he noticed the headband around his arm. A ninja from Konoha. However, none of the ones we saw previously applied to this one. Were reinforcements sent? All of my weapons are at the hiding place. He put the basket down and narrowed his eyes before stealthily approaching him and slowly reaching out to strangle him there and then. The blonde turned the tables and choked him with his legs as his hand was about to touch his throat. He grabbed his wrist and forearm with both hands and wrapped his legs around his neck and arm. A boy his age was slowly turning red in Naruto's grasp when he opened his eyes. After swiftly releasing him, Naruto retreated against a tree and said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you. I'm sorry." The boy's face color began to return to normal as he sat on his knees coughing. Looking up, he saw the boy who had nearly killed him. "Boss is going to murder me. I almost killed a person." The boy was examined more closely by Naruto's clone. Why is he dressed like a woman? Does he enjoy dressing differently? When he noticed the boy in a pink sleeveless kimono, he thought. Sensing the feminine boy's chakra, he squinted. For a civilian, he has a powerful chakra. He must be under Zabuza's authority. After giving the boy another glance, he considered Zabuza. I was unaware of Zabuza's swing. Did he disguise himself to entice Zabuza? Zabuza may not be gay, but his subordinate is attempting to attract his attention by dressing like a woman. With a disarmingly beautiful smile, the boy finally said, "It's okay. You must have been quite on edge to attack like that. My name is Haku, by the way." He did not cause Naruto to react. Haku obviously believed that he would be seduced by his cough woman after saying, "I'm Naruto." Quiet. Nobody said anything. The uneasy silence made the girlish boy twitch in his place. In an attempt to strike up a conversation, he said, "Say, are you a ninja? I mean, you're strong and you have a forehead protector." "You're right. I'm a ninja. Why did you ask?" "Nothing. I'm just curious." When Naruto's gaze landed on Haku's basket, he said, "Curiosity killed the cat." The boy had gathered some unique herbs that were used to make a potent beverage. "Tell me, Naruto-san, do you have any precious people you want to protect?" Haku replied. Naruto didn't understand the boy's words. "What are you talking about?" "It's just, I believe when a person has something important that they want to protect, that's when they can become truly strong," Haku stated. He seemed to go down memory lane when he said, "My parents died when I was just a kid. I was found by my precious person months later." Naruto proceeded to verify his suspicions because he didn't want to hear his sob story. He inquired, "Haku, how is Zabuza?" Naruto didn't feel let down after observing his response. Haku's gaze had expanded. A string tightened around his neck, preventing the feminine body from doing more than assuming the fighting stance. Naruto warned, "Don't move or you'll find yourself without the head," he asked. "So how's Zabuza?" But Haku remained silent. The blonde genin tightened his string grip, causing Haku's neck to bleed. "Don't want to give information to your enemy?" he asked. "Go to hell. You know, last time, the person who said the same thing to me died. So if you don't want to die horribly, tell me. It's not like you'll lose something in the process. I'll even let you go. I'm in a pretty good mood today. Don't ruin it. I will never betray Zabuza. Sama, kill me, I won't tell you. Your loyalty is admirable." Haku was aware that the blonde genin would kill him with one quick move. However, there was a way. He used the water surrounding him to create an ice and froze the string, focusing on his bloodline. He struck the frozen string, destroying it in the process. Without any delay, he created an ice mirror and entered. As he watched the mirror turn to water and fall to the ground, Naruto arched an eyebrow. The ice release. So he's a Yuki clan member. That's intriguing. "I told you, Mom, I should have gone with him," Natsumi said in an argument with her mother. It was obvious that she was concerned about her father. After 4 hours, he was still nowhere to be found. Nada. A loud sound interrupted Kushina. It had thrown open the front door. Naruto was standing there holding 4 fish. Naruto said, "I brought our dinner." As he entered, Tsunami accepted his offer of fish with pleasure. Kakashi lifted his orange book and looked up. "You're late, Naruto." Naruto put on a straight face and said, "I apologize, I got lost on the road of life and had to fight one of Zabuza's cronies to get here." With the exception of Team 8, who hadn't known Kakashi well, everyone gasped at his unbelievable response and stared at Naruto in shock. "Naruto, I'm so proud of you, coming up with such an awesome excuse. I now feel like my time being this team's sensei has truly borne fruit." Kakashi grinned in the eye. Kushina slapped him over the head, causing him to yell. "It's true. It's not an excuse." When he realized no one believed him, the clone let out a mental scream. "I fought with Haku, who was collaborating with Zabuza, and lost in the forest." Naruto whispered, "I don't know why, but I really want to kill my clone now," as he trailed Zetsu. "How far away is that place from here?" "According to the Black Zetsu, we'll arrive there in roughly 10 minutes. "You said the same thing 15 minutes ago," Naruto remarked. The sun had completely set by the time the group reached their destination, leaving only the stars and the green glow of the thousands of fireflies flitting around the ruins as light sources. The Black Zetsu declared, "This is the entrance." He gestured toward a big rock. This smooth gray face was intricately carved with a complex seal. "But be careful, brother. A complex seal protecting it." Naruto said, "Don't worry, Black Zetsu," as he approached the rock. "I have the blood of the Uzumaki clan, which is the key of this seal." He took a tiny bit of his thumb to extract blood. He applied the blood drop to the seal. The seal began to glow when his blood touched it, creating a glistening blue portal. "For the white Zetsu you did it." "I know," smirked Naruto. "Let's go. The protecting barrier has gone." Few of Zetsu's clones were called forth by the Black Zetsu. "Protect the entrance, and make sure no one comes near this place," said the man. Zetsu and Naruto entered the portal leading to an unidentified location. White Zetsu remarked, "The Uzumakis were really something." "Yes," acknowledged Black Zetsu. As he looked around, the place's enormous size astounded him. So this is the lost dimension of the Otsutsuki clan. The dimension they were in was called the Library of Benzedin. It was an enormous library that seemed to have an infinite number of floors. Numerous shelves were arranged in different patterns on each side of the hexagon. Shaped interior walls. A great deal of information about the Otsutsuki clan and every dimension they had invaded was contained in the neatly organized books and scrolls on all those shelves. The library's floors were connected by what appeared to be bridges, creating a corridor between the various apartments. Naruto swiftly leafed through a book that appeared to be random that he had taken from a shelf. Interesting, according to him. He shut the book and replaced it, saying, "This book is on various types of sealing techniquesa, but we're not here for this." When Naruto noticed what appeared to be a carving of the goddess on a warm reddish stone next to a wide passage, he turned to look around. The goddess was playing a biwa while perched atop a huge dragon. Zetsu and Naruto approached the doorway leading to a different room. They came to a halt before a stunning statue of the same goddess made of sandstone that stood at the entrance. But in this form, the goddess sat on a lotus throne and had 8 arms rather than 2. A bow, arrow, sword, axe, spear, long pestle, iron wheel, and silk rope were in each of her hands. Naruto clapped his hands together and closed his eyes. He focused on his chakra while holding them together in front of him. Like smoke, a gloomy aura rose from his body and dispersed across the floor. Below the statue of the goddess, a 7-pronged seal glowed across the floor like the sun from each seal. 7 lines of symbols extended outward from the interior of the formation, stopping simultaneously to form a new line that joined the ends in a circle. A hidden passage beneath the goddess statue was revealed when it moved. Angrily, White Zetsu asked, "Another passage? Just how far we have to go to get that thing?" Naruto whispered the final sentence under his breath. "This is the last Oni, I think," he said. Ignoring the seals that lighted the passageway dimly, Naruto continued walking down it. He was certain that the location he sought would be across the passage. The passage ended in a spacious, deserted room. A strange brownish, orange mask with black markings on the corners of the mouth and eyes hovered in the center of it in a faint white light. It had a big white beard with a mustache and what appeared to be unkempt eyebrows. White Zetsu remarked, "A mask? We came here for an old mask?" For Black Zetsu, this is not just a mask. This is the mask of Terracotta, Lord of Aloni. Naruto approached the mask and remarked, "This mask is a powerful artifact. Many have tried to control its power, but no one has succeeded in it." Nervously, White Zetsu swallowed. The mask exuded a sense of death and gloom, as if it were composed of water that absorbed all light and flowed out and off of it. He questioned, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Black Zetsu told them, "There is no second chance. The failure means death." Naruto took the mask and put it on his face, saying, "There is no turning back now." Nothing happened for a second. The air then appeared to abruptly grow darker and heavier with a mighty force. Naruto's gaze expanded. He collapsed to his knees, gasping for air. In addition to the excruciating pain, he also had the impression that the flame was roasting his soul. He tightened his jaw. He sensed that something was attempting to take control of his body. Around Naruto, a number of shadows started to swirl and lash out at him like tentacles. They encircled his legs and arms. Despite Naruto's best efforts to escape their grasp, the tentacles began pulling him into a dark portal on the floor. As he watched shadows draw Naruto into the portal, White Zetsu questioned what would happen to us if he died. Immediately after opening his mouth, Black Zetsu shut it. He hadn't considered it. "Mom," exclaimed Natsumi. A bedroom door was thrown open. Kushina said, "Natsumi, what happened?" She was kneeling next to her brother, Natsumi. She had tears in her eyes. When Kushina saw her son motionless on the floor, her eyes grew wide. She walked straight over to her kids. She took Naruto by the arm. His body burned away like a furnace. She tried to wake him by shaking him. "Nothing." She shouted at him, "Nothing." Her eyes flashed to a picture of Naruto, who was 6 years old, lying on the hospital bed. Naruto. A child? A child wants to control me. Naruto was kneeling. The big floating head with green, yellowish eyes was being glared at by his violet eyes. They were surrounded by a pitch black emptiness with a spooky sky that resembled mist. He was the location of the Shadow's alternate dimension, known as the Shadow Realm. After standing up, Naruto punched the floating head, but it went straight through. Oni, the Lord of All, chuckled. A surge of electricity tore through Naruto's body, causing him to scream. "A physical power is useless against a spirit like me. Give up. I promise I'll make your death less painful." With a groan, Naruto started to move, looking for a spot to place his hands and feet so he could try to stand. He was launched into the air by an unseen force. Naruto was in pain as he lay on the imaginary floor. To get to his hands and knees, he forced himself to do so. Despite the excruciating pain, he made every muscle in his body move. He swayed from side to side. As he watched the boy struggle to stand, Terracotta chuckled and said, "You're a stubborn child." "What? Do you want to say something?" Don't call me Kai. Child." Two big white eyes popped open as the area behind Naruto trembled. They cast a menacing glow into the Shadow Realm's dark backdrop. The Oni froze in place as those eyes glared at him. What is this?" A recognizable voice reverberated in Naruto's mind. "Show him the power of an otsutsuki." "Mom." A happy grin appeared on Naruto's lips as his eyes glowed. Before him, a small white gleam appeared. The gleam gradually expanded into a tiny ball of fire. Naruto got to his feet shakily. He extended his hand in the direction of the ball. He experienced a sharp increase in power as his fingers made contact with the white ball. It traveled up his arm, through his fingertips, and into his body. The sheer magnitude of the power he now possessed caused his body to crackle as it filled him. It reduced all of his pain and healed all of his wounds. Naruto fixed the King of Shadow with his mismatched eyes. "I am Naruto, Naruto Otsutsuki, the son of Princess Kaguya. Remember it," he yelled. The flaming ball he was holding was crushed by Naruto. He was surrounded by a misty power, and his Rinne Sharingan acquired another Tomo. Naruto vanished in the sudden flurry of speed as the 4 Tomo in his eyes started to spin around his pupil. In front of the Omi, he emerged. He grabbed the floating head with his arm. Terracotta was surprised when Naruto's hand connected with him, as he had assumed the punch would go through him. How? Don't underestimate Rinne. Sharingan, it has a power of beyond life and death. The Oni sensed that his strength was being drained from him. What are you doing? Naruto remarked. You don't need to know. Oni, the lord of all, started to lose it. He developed cracks all over his skin. Terracotta screamed and then exploded into a number of fragments. The particles swirled around Naruto as they moved. They absorbed into his body and focused on his forehead, leaving a black diamond-shaped mark there. Naruto largely said, "I feel different" himself. His body was surrounded by shadows that seemed to be acting on their own initiative. I think I can control them." Shadows shifted away from Naruto as he waved his hand. He extended his arm. Shadows joined together to form a giant hand of shadow that followed the movement of his hand. Naruto stood up. He opened his eyes to find the Hyuga heiress kneeling next to her teacher who was hurt. She said, Do you want anything, and Naruto-san?" She removed Kurenai's discolored bandages and used alcohol to clean her wound. She covered the wound with fresh bandages. "She is, I believe, Naruto's clone, Hinata." According to him, no, thank you. After standing up, he performed some stretches. Hinata said, "Naruto-san? To attract Naruto's interest, you were unconscious for nearly 3 days." Naruto snapped his head in the direction of the Hyuga and asked what he examined her face. "Boss, just what happened to you? I had the impression that my relationship with you had been severed. Where are the others?" he inquired of Hinata. "They are guarding the bridge." When Naruto heard a scream, he was about to ask another question. He immediately set out to find out why, as did Hinata. When Inari heard his mother scream, he was cleaning himself up in the bathroom. He rushed into the kitchen after racing down the hall. "Inari, no. Run," yelled Tsunami. Zora was asked by Waragi, "Should we take him too?" According to Zora, we only need one hostage. "I guess I can kill him, then I'd been wanting to cut something all morning." Waragi pulled out his blade. The fear paralyzed Inari. All Inari knew was that he was afraid, on the verge of death, and unable to save his mother, even as Kaisa's words about safeguarding what matters floated through his mind. "Wait," was the only word that Tsunami sharply yelled, "Don't you dare touch my son. If you do, I'll bite my own tongue off and drown in my blood." "Then what will you do for a live hostage?" Waragi and Zori looked at each other, discussing whether or not she was serious. The risk was too great for them. They both put their swords away. Zora said, "You got lucky, kid, your mom saved you," while he and Waragi restrained Tsunami. They left Inari alone and made her walk. He started crying as he considered everything that had transpired. Inari stopped crying at Kaisa's words. He put his own life on hold for the first time. He ran outside, his fists clenched. He yelled, "Mommy," before rushing heedlessly in the direction of the 2 samurai. The 2 samurai drew their swords and exchanged a smile. They didn't get someone so eager to die very often. Inari was sliced in 2 by their flashing blades. However, Inari had vanished into a log. The 2 samurai turned swiftly to see that a log had taken the place of their hostage. Naruto set Tsunami and Inari down. "I will take care of Tsunami and Inari, Hinata," he said, pulling out his sword. "What era?" Waragi started to say in a derisive manner. "You talk too much," said Naruto. His sword had pierced Waragi's heart and been buried in his chest. When Naruto withdrew his sword, the corpse dropped to the ground. Before he suffered the same fate, Zora backed up a few steps, fear racing through his body. Naruto zipped off to catch up with others after saying, "Hinata, clean up this mess. I'm going to go help others. The rest here is up to you, okay?" Hinata said. Wait. But it was too late. Knowing that she would remember all of this for as long as she lived, she shivered as she gazed at the dead bodies. What am I going to do with them? Silently, the real Naruto landed after levitating up from a shadow portal. Black Setsu remarked, "Brother, we truly believed we had lost you. Have faith in me. I'm not going to die without fulfilling our goal," Naruto said as he approached Setsu. White Setsu had inquired. "So what did you get?" Naruto responded, more than I could have ever imagined, and made a hand gesture. 12 shadows emerged from the room's shadowy corners and paused in the circle surrounding Naruto, before assuming the forms of tall men dressed in black ninja suits with accents of dark red and blue that covered the majority of their faces and bodies. All the shadows warped. All of the men silently bowed their heads slightly in Naruto's direction. White Setsu said, "Okay, what are they?" Setsu both glanced at the newcomers. As though they were demons or members of a demon clan, they all shared the same characteristics, such as glowing red eyes and grayish-blue skin. They are like tailed beasts, but instead of made of chakra, they are living forms of shadows, said Naruto. There are several types of them, but these are my favorite. Well, I can see why, expressed Black Setsu. They look like ninjas. Grinning, Naruto said, I know. White Setsu quickly corrected his error, saying, I don't know if you'd be particularly interested in hearing anything about it. They and Konoha ninjas have gotten into a big trouble. Your family, I mean your former family. Naruto questioned, what kind of a trouble are you talking about? Well, despite drawing her sword, Kushina stood motionless, waiting for her opponent to initiate contact. A tall, muscular man with brown eyes, short, spiky black hair, and pale skin was her opponent. The lower half of his face was covered in bandages that resembled a mask. Zabuza moved his sword to his left hand and remarked, I certainly never expected to see you of all people here, red-hot, blooded habanero. Kushina swiftly raised her own blade and parried the blow after Zabuza shifted his weight to his right foot. Zabuza's sword resembled a butcher knife and was enormous, standing as tall as a man in his prime. The name of that sword was Kabikari Buka. With her own sword, Kushina deflected his blow once more, causing a loud clash of metal. Kushina's sword was small in comparison to Zabuza's enormous weapon. It had a thick, two-toned blade that was razor-sharp. The gold manuki, red cord around the wooden guard, and black cord around the hilt all served to highlight the sword. Zabuza thought, I must be careful around her. She is an S-rank shinobi and I could lose my life if I make a mistake. They clashed swords once more. The demon of the hidden mist used some force this time. He swung full force to the right, sending Kushina reeling backwards. Zabuza saw that his sword had tiny cracks in it. Thus, this is the strength of Beneheim, the head of the Uzumaki clan and the legendary sword. A tiny explosion was heard by Kakashi, and then he heard steel crashing. He believed that Kushina Senp had begun to take her opponent seriously. His Sharingan came out. Kakashi turned to face his adversary. Nagao was his name. His black hair reached his cheeks, and his eyes were small and black. He had a strange hat tied under his chin, a beige tunic, style sleeveless shirt with only one button, and a pair of shorts that were tan and loose, held up with a white belt. Nagalit used the Assimilate All Creation technique, which gave the user the ability to adopt the characteristics of any object in their immediate vicinity. A pair of ninjas hurled themselves to exchange blows more quickly than the average human eye could keep up. They threw a few handfuls shurikens and parted ways. When the throwing stars struck one another, they cancelled each other out. Following that, they traded punches and kicks in another intense taijutsu match. Kakashi took a kunai out of his secret pocket and proceeded to drive it into his opponent's neck. The kunai just bounced off Nagali's rock hard skin, failing to pierce his neck. Assimilation. Rock tank. Nagao merged with a nearby rock, grew into a huge ball, and rolled violently in Kakashi's direction. Attacking him in this manner would be more difficult. Kakashi identified the technique similar to the human bullet tank of the Akamichi clan. He was aware that he had to move quickly. Why has the air suddenly become so cold? Not letting his guard down, Sasuke pondered. The water all around him was hardening and lowering into the air, but he was too preoccupied with Haku to notice it. Secret technique, demonic mirroring ice crystals. Ice-based mirrors appeared all around Sasuke. Together, the mirrors created a domed shape that encased him. Even more incredible was what transpired next. A mirror was approached by Haku. He simply continued to walk straight into the mirror. The fact that Haku's image instantly spread to every mirror, however, was even more astounding. How does he intend to use those mirrors? Sasuke pondered. It was confusing, but he knew this was a jutsu. Haku said, let me show you real speed and inflection. Saban flew in all directions a few seconds later. Wind release. Breakthrough. A gust of wind blew the Saban away before any of them could strike the Uchiha, sending them back to the phony hunter.nin. Natsumi said, Sasuke, are you alright? Sasuke yelled, you idiot. We could have attacked him from both sides. It was our best chance if she attacked from the outside and I attacked from the inside. And what is this fool up to? Rather than surprising the enemy, she surprises me. Excuse me? You're welcome for the save. I went through hell to help you, Natsumi replied. Haku then started attacking again, striking Sasuke and Natsumi this time. Sasuke came up with the desperate idea to destroy the mirrors in order to get away. With the words, fire style, fireball jutsu, Sasuke let out a tremendous burst of flames. To Sasuke's frustration, however, the ice remained solid. Their targets were merely scratched. Then, as if to make matters worse, the mirror quickly fixed itself, erasing any evidence of his escape attempt. Saying, your fire attacks can't hurt me. You can't catch me. Haku's voice reverberated throughout the freezing prison. Multiple shadow clone jutsu. Natsumi made a dozen copies of herself, one in flesh and blood. Clones instantly surrounded her and Sasuke, creating a protective wall ring. Natsumi remarked, hey Sasuke. Let's try your fire with my breeze. She spoke in a way that Sasuke didn't understand at first, but he eventually understood. Genin began displaying their respective jutsus with hand signals. Fire style. Great fireball jutsu, wind release, great breakthrough. After taking a deep breath, Sasuke blew out a great deal of fire through his slightly open fist. Natsumi released her own wind jutsu at the same moment. Natsumi and Sasuke's attacks combined to form a massive flaming hot fireball, demonstrating how fire and wind jutsus function. When Haku saw the roaring fireball coming toward him, he was stunned and immobilized. Desperately, Zabuza's apprentice tried to come up with a plan to get away from the approaching assault. Haku searched everywhere, but was unable to find a way out. The attack by the collaboration was so large that Haku would be struck regardless of which mirrors he leapt to. Haku instantly positioned all of his mirrors in front of him to act as a shield. A massive explosion happened as soon as the flaming hot fireball struck the frozen mirrors. Sasuke and Natsumi had to shield their eyes from the tiny ice fragments and flares. Aren't you supposed to rest in order to recover faster? Standing in front of Kiba and his ninja dog, Naruto sighed. A short distance from Tazuna's house, he had met the other genin. I'm feeling much better now, Kiba. Thanks for asking, Naruto replied. But what are you doing here? I thought you went with others, Kakashi. Sensei sent me back to guard Tazuna's house. You're slightly late. Just a few minutes ago, 2 Gaita's men attacked Tazuna's family. If it wasn't for me, Inari would be dead by now, said Naruto. Kiba's gaze expanded. He inquired, has anybody been hurt? No one hurt. I don't think there will be another attempt on their life, but better safe than sorry, said Naruto. Abruptly, he leaped to his feet, seized a branch, and scaled the tree. Kiba, here is the plan. Kakashi-sensei gave you an order. You will follow his orders and I'm going to help others. Wait. Almost touching one branch before reaching for another, Naruto flew through the trees. He soon vanished into the woods. Kiba sighed as Akamaru barked repeatedly. I know, Akamaru. The guard duty is world's most boring job, he replied. I hope Shino has better luck than us. Shino Aburame rarely lost his temper because he was always cool, collected. He truly wanted to put all of his insects in the pink-haired Kunoichi's mouth right now, though. Sakura-san, I must insist that you stop talking loudly. You're giving our position to enemy ninjas, said Shino. Sakura questioned, perplexed and unable to fully comprehend the circumstances. What? Tazuna yelled, girl, stop taking. In frustration, you're going to get one of us killed. Shino's fingertip was touched by a tiny iridescent insect that resembled a black and blue beetle. It occasionally flapped its wings. This was the only way Shino could examine the bug closely before nodding and letting it return to its home beneath his skin. Another one is out there, Shino thought. I must locate Sasuke-san and Natsumi, Sauna and quickly. He let loose a ton of insects from his clothing. Searching for his fellow ninja, the Kikaichu suddenly disappeared in the mist after meeting up in the air. It is quite difficult to locate them because of the chakra in the mist. Tazuna was just like everyone else. It was a move he had seen Shino use previously. However, Sakura had a disgusted expression on her face and was as pale as a ghost. Sakura was about to speak when the ground shook due to an explosion. She said, what's going on? Haku raised a quivering hand. Heat from the jutsu had not reached him because of his ice mirrors. However, the attack's overwhelming force had broken all of his mirrors. He had almost missed his heart when struck by one of the ice shards. In an attempt to end the excruciating pain, he began to scratch at his chest. Both Sasuke and Natsumi opened their eyes. This was the extent of their injuries, aside from a few cuts and bruises. They stared at the devastation they had wrought. Although the bridge's actual structural damage was minimal, there was extensive surface scarring and sporadic smoke whips. Blinking at the damage, Natsumi said foolishly, "Whoa, I didn't think we'd do this much if we teamed up." If Sasuke had been listening, he would have responded that he was primarily responsible for the harm. Team 7's Avenger was looking at Haku, who was hurt. Sasuke didn't want to acknowledge it, but Haku had outstripped him in strength. Sasuke was both enraged and excited by that. He had demonstrated that he was one step closer to defeating Itachi by defeating Haku. Natsumi took a step forward in the direction of her fallen foe. When she produced a kunai from her pouch, his stance changed. "You are losing too much blood. Surrender, we can help you," she said, approaching Haku slowly. Haku muttered, "Kill me," as blood spurted from the wound. "What?" Haku even grinned as he said, "Master Zabuza has no use for a weak shinobi. So, Plezia, kill me." "Say what? Why do you waste all that devotion on that rotten jerk? That mercenary scumbag? He doesn't care who he works for or what he does as long as he gets his money. Is that browless idiot really your beloved friend?" Natsumi yelled. This was more than she could comprehend. For that monster, why would anyone want to die? Why would anyone desire death? Haku gave a calm smile, but a scream was heard before he could respond. Natsumi instantly recognized the voice. Sasuke. Her azure eyes grew wide with surprise. Crouching on the ground, Sasuke held up his blood-stained hand. As though it had been heated in a forge, the kunai protruding from his shoulder was scorched. With contempt, he threw the bloody kunai to the ground after yanking it from his shoulder. With blood dripping from the corner of his fingers, he grasped his left shoulder. He was grateful that important organs had escaped the knife's path. He wouldn't have been able to live if he hadn't previously noticed the kunai. Then he winced and looked up, seeing the faint outline and chakra of his unidentified assailant clearly in his newly awakened red eyes. When his unidentified man dropped the jutsu and came into view, two tomo in the left eye and one in the right started to spin quickly. The long sky, blue-haired man turned to face the Uchiha. He was grinning arrogantly. He was dressed in a purple shirt underneath a vest-like garment that was beige and hung down to his knees. He spun the kunai around on his finger. With the sharp end pointing towards Sasuke, the man gripped the handle tightly. Hokushin. Remember this name, kid. The pain caused Sasuke's vision to become blurry, but he was still able to glare at the man standing taller than him. He collapsed to the ground unconscious, his newly awakened Sharingan fading from his eyes. "Get out of his way," Natsumi yelled, hurling her kunai at the man. Hokushin used his own to deflect the kunai. He leaped out of Uchiha's way and vanished once more. In the direction of her teammate, Natsumi ran. Sasuke was encircled by Natsumi's clones on all sides as they puffed around him. Beside the Uchiha, the real Natsumi knelt down. From the wound, blood was gushing out. She cleaned the blood and sliced off his shirt. There were streaks of darkening, nearly black skin, red inflammation, and grayish pallor on the skin surrounding the wound. Blood was still flowing, but clots had formed around the edges. One of Natsumi's clones remarked, "Boss, we can't see him," as she and her fellow clones stopped their invisible enemy from launching another kunai attack. She could hear Hokushin's voice everywhere. "My poison has already entered his body into his bloodstream itself. It is only a matter of time before it consumes him. Will you shut up?" Natsumi tightened her jaw. Although she and Sasuke did not get along well, he was still her teammate. She was making a lot of effort to figure out how to save her teammate's life. She was aware of her lack of medical ninja skills. She had no chance of becoming one with her shabby chakra control. Hokushin questioned, "Is this the first time you've seen a comrade die?" There. A kunai hurled by one of the clones in specific direction met nothing but empty air. "Get used to it, girl. That is part of a ninja's life." "Shut up." Hokushin became acutely aware that he was speaking to a different girl. An orange-red chakra whirled around Natsumi. Her face and eyes had gone wild. Nagael and Kakashi both detected Natsumi's otherworldly chakra. Their thoughts initially strayed in each other's direction, but Kakashi eventually realized what was truly happening. "Has the fourth Hokage's seal been broken?" "No. There is insufficient chakra. However, the seal is weaker now. I must take immediate action because the nine-tailed demon fox's power is leaking through." Kakashi had already identified the weakness of his opponent. Nagali's chakra was visible to his Sharingan as it emanated from a rock, which was where his actual body was. To end the battle, he used one flawless jutsu. Kakashi gestured with his hands. Raikiri, lightning bolts appeared to fly out of his hand. Such unadulterated energy, pure chakra, would split a man in two. No. Never again. When Kushina felt the chakra of the nine tails seeping out of her daughter, she thought, she can't control it. Habanero. What's going on? Zabuza inquired, remaining concealed in the potent fog he had produced. He was obviously aware of the inhuman chakra and bloodlust. "That's none of your concern, Zabuza," Kushina assured him. Kushina remained vigilant. She heard shuriken flying in her direction. She reacted swiftly, using her kunai to knock each shuriken down. Kushina used her sword to send the chakra. Over the blade, a number of crimson-colored sealing arrays emerged. Scream Beneheim. She fired crimson-colored energy blasts as she swung her sword in an arc. It blew the mist away with a strong gust of wind. It showed her where Zabuza was. Zabuza ran over to Kushina. A flurry of golden chains encircled the missing shinobi and his sword before he could approach her. The chains slammed him into the ground, separating him from Executioner's blade. Zabuza fought to free himself, but the chains held him tighter. Kushina walked over to him and said, "Don't bother, they can hold down much stronger thing than you. I've also heard that they can even hold the mighty nine-tailed fox itself," said Zabuza. Since he was unable to feel his chakra, he knew it was over. Naruto's senses started to fail him as he ran farther into the forest. He reduced his pace to a jog and then stopped altogether. The real Naruto said, "You did a good job," as he appeared out of the shadow of a tree. His hand touched his clone's chest as he approached it. "Thank you for your service." The spark drained from the clone's eyes, which rolled up and went completely blank. He appeared to have had his switch-off button pressed. He sagged back. Huge hands reached out of a shadow and caught him before his limp body hit the floor. The hands wrapped themselves around him like tendrils and dragged him into a portal of shadow. To cover up the mark on his forehead, Naruto untied the headband and wrapped it around his head. Just as he was about to move, it struck him. What the hell? Where he was unable to move, Naruto felt his bones become numb. From there, he could definitely feel the chakra of the nine tails. It resembled a lighthouse. His face was frozen with fear as the beads of sweat trickled down it. His eyes flashed to the picture of Natsumi cutting his face with her razor-sharp claws. He recalled that burning feeling and pain. Naruto inhaled and exhaled gradually. Fear was not an option, and he would have taken the simple route if he had allowed fear to become an option. Before launching into a run, Naruto took one tentative step. Rather, he decided to face his fears head-on by taking the difficult route. So that's it for today. Thanks for listening to my video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment below your favorite part. Sayonara, see you in the next video.